Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to another live stream on the costumeco channel. And last week we had I had Lindsay on for the costume consultant. So that was sort of like just to talk a little bit about this. But this week we're back to sort of chatting about a show that's out that all of us love, many of us love. And I've got a couple of awesome guests with me. So you guys know me, I'm Heidi. And we also have Justin Thomas here from Top Shelf Fandom. And we have Farhan from Middle Earth Lore. And he doesn't just do Middle Earth stuff, though. You do gaming
Yeah,
things. I
I'm
think
I'm
is one of
trying to pivot towards gaming because
I'd
gaming
argue
is
he barely does Middle Earth stuff.
yeah, I don't even
Yeah.
I don't even do that because games are my one true love.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
And hey, Carl. Hi, Natural Selection and Cool Gamers. So anyway, so last week, was just a quick little live stream that we had. And this week it's going to be a little more relaxed and laid back. Carl, you'll be happy to know I'm having a beverage tonight. I had a dry January, so I'm having a little cocktail. It's pretty cold up here in Canada, so I need like all the warmth I can get.
Yeah, she went to the doctor and they found out you didn't drink for a month and they did a blood test. Turned out you weren't
She almost
cool.
lost it.
Yeah,
Well,
she's
there
like,
was a
yo,
study-
the tests are back. You're not cool. You need to start drinking again.
I know. There's a study that came out that says you're not supposed to have more than 2 drinks a week. And I'm like, oh dear.
Yeah, that's just
all right.
Yeah, that's old nonsense.
So anyway, before we get going on the show tonight, the topic tonight is The Last of Us. And before we get going on that topic, I will get you guys to introduce yourself. So Justin, why don't you tell everybody a little about yourself?
My name's Justin Thomas. I am primarily just a editor and producer for content. I find it far more fulfilling. One of my wonderful clients, but one of my very good friends right here, Heidi. And I was really excited actually to do this. I actually don't like doing live streams anymore, but I'm extremely happy with how this has been going. The Last of Us has had a special place in my heart since the game. I played the first game, and we'll talk about that later. Did not play the second. I think Farhan did. But yeah, really liking it so far and really excited to talk about it and every aspect of it. So thanks for having me on. Well,
it's always my pleasure. I always love having you on, and I love having Farhan as well. So, and I think this is the first time I've seen you this year. Actually, Justin, I don't even think I've seen you. We've just been chatting, but I don't think I've even seen you. This is the first time I'm seeing your face. So, Farhan, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I am Farhan, and I do mostly, I have 2 YouTube channels. One of them is Middle Earth Lore, which I mentioned. I'm trying to sort of pivot away from that and focus more on my gaming stuff, which I talk about. Like I do video essays talking about video games and sort of doing like retrospectives, revisits of older games and how they sort of compare. Especially like I'm uploading one now about the new Dead Space remake, which I really loved. And yeah, I've gaming has always been a true passion of mine, and so that coupled with The Last of Us show is a perfect ensemble in my opinion. And yeah, thank you for having me, by the way.
Well, I'm always happy to have you both. And so this is going to be fun because I'm a show only person. I don't know anything about the games. I'm not a gamer. Everyone knows that. A lot of the games to, like The Witcher or something like that, I really enjoy. So, and I'm really enjoying this, but it will be fun to have both of you here to have your perspective on the games versus the show and how you think it's doing. And, what are the comparisons between the two? So So I just want to let everyone know in the chat that there will be spoilers. We're going to be doing up to the 3rd episode, so the one that just aired on Sunday night. And I'm just asking if people could not do spoilers about the game, like moving forward. Like we were saying earlier, the trailer is open. That's no problem. So what I think I'll do is maybe we'll start off by going around just asking what you think your first impressions of the show were, like just the overall sort of experience that you had. Farhan, why don't we start with you? What do you think of the show so far?
I actually kind of enjoy it. I mean, like when they first announced that they were doing a show, like obviously I would say that video game adaptations, while there are some good ones out there, and like they'll say like, oh yeah, no, there's this sort of video game curse, and I don't entirely believe that, though there are there's a large quantity of them where they don't really perform very well, but there have been a handful like Arcane and Cyberpunk Edge Runners and the Cuphead show. Those were all brilliant. I mean, they're kind of like side content, so I guess it doesn't really count. But anyway, I was kind of nervous for how they were going to adapt this as well. And like, even when they when they announced the second game, like obviously I was excited for that, but I was like, The Last of Us itself is such a perfect contained package that I'm like, do I want to see it adapted or continued from there? And I'm actually kind of glad that we're getting this, because now we have more, like, it's opening up to more audiences, and that's kind of the whole sort of point to it. And I might be a little bit biased here, but while I really really enjoy the show, I still think that the game does have that sort of charm and like emotion, and I think it's not lacking that, but it's just different. And I don't know, maybe it's just something that I'm like, yeah, this is something that's near and dear to my heart. And but then again, that's also because I've played it like 4 times over. But yeah.
Wow. How many generations of the game are? I don't even know if that's a correct term.
Well, it like originally released on the PS3 back in 2013. And I remember getting it for my 14th birthday, so that was like a few months after it released. But I remember seeing the trailer the first time, I think the year before, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool. I don't know what this is, but it's from Sony." And I was a Sony pony back then, so I was like, "I can't. I'm really excited for this." And then when I got it for my birthday, I played it through, and I was blown away, and I loved it. To like, I would say it's probably my favorite, if one of my favorites, if not my absolute favorite game. And so yeah, they had that, and then the year after in 2014 they did the remaster for the PS4, which is basically just like going from 1080p, 720 to 1080p, just bumping the resolution. But then last year, like sort of like, I think it was August, they released the remake for PS5, which is basically like, it's from the ground up. So like they rebuilt the entire thing using their sort of updated engine, and like it's almost the same game, but it's like basically newer. I haven't played that version yet. I am looking forward to eventually, but yeah, I have played this game a number of times, as well as the second one.
I want to say hi to Silver Scale. Hello. He's asking how everyone's doing today. We're doing great. You can answer for yourselves. Maybe you're not.
I'm okay.
I'm okay. And Carl, he says he's not a gamer, a game watcher either. So I have some company here. So Justin, what about you? What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll touch on a few. I think that Farhan said some good stuff there that's interesting. Number one, I wanted to bring up context of he brought up. I'm happy you brought up the context of when you played the game, because I believe it's important, just as in gaming as it is in consuming story in general, to give context.
Silver Scale.
To give context of when you consumed it and who with and what was your situation, blah, blah, blah. So I'll get to that. Second off, the adaptation right there. I think it's very, yes, video games overall have not done that well adapting, because there's a different, it's always a challenge, because there is a different approach that you have to take in telling a story through cinema than there is with a TV show, than there is with a book. Who else would be better at being I than myself, so forth, so forth. But the immersion of a game, meaning you are playing as yourself, right? Yeah. You're playing as Joel, and then you're playing as Ellie for a little bit. So like, you have this connection right there. They have to evoke this connection in a drastically different way. And that's why we're seeing different perspectives and all this. So it's a very, I think it's a very skinny, it's a thin line, right? To walk. It's a tightrope to walk. And I think they're doing it fairly well. And The Last of Us was for context of when I played it on the PS4. This is when I went back to Michigan for a little bit after I ran a DJ business for 10 years. I went to North Carolina because I stopped DJing. I went back to Detroit for another 2 years in 2014. And I had a really bad strain of luck. Like this before I came back to North Carolina, I had fallen off a freaking roof doing a side job. I had got in a terrible car accident where my car was totaled. I was stuck out at a house, and then I was going and had the roof houses again, where I just literally fell off a 2-story house. Should have been dead. Like, bad spot. Was just trying to stay in Michigan and not have to come back to North Carolina. And I bought a PS4 because I was stuck at my house that I was living. I was like kind of out in the boonies in the residential area of Detroit. And I got the first game I bought was The Last of Us. And this was before this whole YouTube thing that I started doing and all that. I mean, I've always been immersed in story, and I went to school for it, and you know, I've always been there. But this game really stuck out to me as a game that I just wasn't like, okay, like it's not like your Ubisoft game that I'm like, all right, screw this part, like skip, you know what I mean? Skip, don't care. Okay, yeah, shouldn't start another mercenary because now the mercenaries don't trust them, blah blah blah. Let's go. Like let's go fight. Like The Last of Us really drew me in story wise. And it holds a special place in my heart because it was like my only like source of happiness for literally 3 months. So I was really excited when this I heard this was coming out. I was hearing rumors of this when Game of Thrones was still on. I was thinking Maisie Williams at the time for the part of Ellie. This is, you know, and they kind of didn't, you know,
They mentioned that was actually a thing.
yeah, that seemed right. But you
Mhm.
know, it just like we had Henry Cavill as what's his name in
The
Twilight.
Witcher?
The Witcher.
Twilight.
Twilight.
No,
Sorry.
originally Twilight. I'm just talking, you know, like things like productions get aged.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
they don't
Yeah.
go. So then, like, you know, you get your next, your Edward. So Cavill was supposed to be that. Blah blah blah. Same type of situation. So yeah, I was really looking forward to it because I think that they did the right thing by bringing on the people that were involved in the game, plus Chernobyl. Plus people who are heavily involved in Chernobyl's production, which I loved. You know, so yeah, so far so good for me. And I find it to be very interesting because this is quite the challenge, as other people should have already found out, you know, of adapting a story from a video game where you literally have investment because you are that person to getting people invest through showing them story. It's different. So absolutely.
So
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
all right, I
Farhan.
was just gonna like touch on the point where you know, we're talking about adaptations and how they're usually not done well, and like it's because you have to sort of like walk that little fine line between the gameplay and adapting it to like the silver screen or whatever. But I would say like the ones that actually failed are pretty easy to do in my opinion, like Mortal Kombat and Resident Evil. I feel like those stories are pretty much laid out. Yes, obviously the gameplay is a huge thing, but I think the story is like it's a pretty simple story. I feel like to replicate, and it doesn't like it wouldn't heavily have to rely on the gameplay to tell that story. So I think that's it's kind of different, and it's interesting to me that they failed on those, and then this one where it's you have to be a little bit more careful, they're doing better on. So
Yeah.
Well, they kind of went in. It's a lot. I think it's really subtle. Like, you know, some of the adaptations, like zombie. You know, first of all, I was going to say before I go forward, like zombie is one of my favorite sort of dystopian genres. And you know, like The Walking Dead, I actually gave up on The Walking Dead maybe 5 seasons in, which is based on a graphic novel. And then Justin and I did a video about Station 11, which is another dystopia that is based on a novel. That one it actually kind of this series sort of reminds me a little bit of that. Like it's a lot more subtle. It's not like hitting you over the head kind of thing with it. So they've sort of, I don't know. So do you feel that they've nailed this tone? Like was that tone sort of set in the game that they've created here?
Yeah, let me touch on that because it's
Sure.
important to note that I didn't watch. I thought I was one of these people that didn't like zombie stuff. I said, except for 28 Days Later, I just wasn't interested. But I didn't watch The Walking Dead until after I played The Last of Us. That was my catalyst for watching The Walking Dead, and then I got into the whole. It's not about the zombies; it's about the people, and it is. So
Absolutely.
I think that they've, especially with the fungal. Fungus is just so disturbing in the way and with the realistic aspect of how like they're putting it in that like we just need to get a few degrees warmer for this to be able to survive past 94 degrees Fahrenheit. You know what I mean? Like so there's a real world touch, but I think absolutely I think that I think they've really done a good job. You can tell the Chernobyl people are involved and there's just this doom and gloom no matter what.
Actually, and speaking of Chernobyl, I haven't seen it. Have anyone in the chat seen it, or have you guys seen it, Justin?
Oh yeah, it's really good. Russia made their own.
I've heard
Chernobyl.
about it a lot,
Very
but I
different.
haven't seen it yet. I do plan to though.
Yeah,
It's
I think
very good.
Jack saw it, and I know there was one actor in it that I really love, like Richard Harris's son is in it.
Yeah, you got Skarsgård in that. You got what's his name? He was in The Expanse. He was in Mad Men. He plays
That's the guy I'm thinking of, the guy from
Yeah,
The Expanse.
yeah, Jared Harris. Jared Harris.
Yeah. So he's
Yes.
Richard Harris's son, who's like, classically trained Shakespearean actor.
Yeah, he plays the scientist that comes in. He's like, it's not 20 Ratkin. That was his strongest something, blah, blah, blah. They had to measure it. He's like, it's much more than that. And then the KGB's like, shut your mouth. Russia made their own, though. Check it out. Be fair. Check out Russia's. It's pretty cool.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, it's cool.
I was going to say,
way smoother.
Now, one of the things I want to say, because I'm a costume channel on this live stream, we're not going to be really touching on the costumes too much because it's not really a costumey show, right? Like it's not like something you go, but I think to be like someone, we always say this, if you don't notice the costumes, they've probably done a really good job. And honestly, I haven't noticed the costumes. So I think that they really nailed that. And I wanted to say this before I forget, that one thing that's interesting is we're dealing with multiple timelines here. They did the same thing again in Station 11. And I think they also did it in The Walking Dead. They did multiple timelines, like flashbacks, that kind of thing. So we're dealing almost with like an alternative reality, because I think the whole thing goes down to 2003, and then anything that happens after that is like kind of an alternative reality.
Kind of like my reality. I graduated from high school far, and maybe I was 14 when the game came out. I'm like, you son of a bitch. But no.
But so before we go forward, I was going to ask you, I did see something on Twitter that Ellie's shirt, for instance, they did copy it, right? They did a pre-production.
That is exactly like the main shirt that she wears for most of the game. I don't know exactly, because I think this is like her first time wearing it, right, in the show. If I missed that, like that she didn't wear.
I think she had a hoodie on. I think she's had a hoodie on the whole time, and then she took it off when they were walking.
Back on after she showered.
Yeah, I think she's been or she might have changed. She might have changed actually. Now that you say that,
because I feel like that particular shirt is kind of important. I don't want to spoil it, but that is important for where she gets it from. Because at least in the game, it happens much earlier. And so, I don't want to go too much into that. But in terms of costumes, I do notice it a lot, especially because I actually cosplayed as Joel back in 2018.
That's cool.
Pictures?
Yeah. I have one on Instagram from.
Oh, thanks, Tony. Tony, we're talking about The Last of Us. I think Tony's covering this on his channel. So
he better be.
Carl, I have to make you a mod, but maybe I can someone put Tony's link in the chat for me? If anybody wants to check out his channel. So what I was going to say is, so before we go further on that as well, I was mentioning multiple timelines, but we also are dealing with different ages of the characters, right? So, Ellie's been born into this world. Yeah, she's wearing like a jacket and a hoodie, but I think you're right. She did have a shower, and maybe that's when she did put that shirt on. But Joel is supposed to be in his 50s, whereas in the flashback, he's supposed to be like 36. He's just having his birthday. So what do you think of how they did, like, the job that they've done? Same with Tess. Like, I was like, I don't know about you guys, because, I was a big fan of Fringe. So when I saw Anna Torv, I was like, oh my God, what happened to her? She looks like she's hit a bad patch of road or something.
Yeah, she looks like she's hit this situation, right? Like,
she's hit this situation. But when they showed the flashback, and I'm like, oh, that's the Anna Torv I know. Okay. So they did a really good job, I think, with the makeup and the hair and the what were your thoughts on all of that? The way the characters look in the show. Not the actors, but the way the characters look.
I do have the one of the photos. This was me.
Oh my God, Farhan, that's amazing.
Thank you. I mean, you can't really see it, but I actually took one of an old bag and basically tried to completely replicate his bag by painting it, by adding extra bits and bobs to make it exactly the same. I looked at reference photos and whatever, and then I also got a bandage, and then I had a little flashlight here that I made that I attached to it as well. And then again, I did a similar thing for part 2.
Oh, that looks really good.
Yeah,
that looks really good.
Oh my God, that's me. I'm gonna see if I can find Tony.
I like how on the first one you literally just could have been like there's probably a guy that did farming next to you, and he was just wearing his clothes, and you're like, yeah, I'm cosplaying as this. He's like, oh, feels sad about me. You know what I mean? No, those look good.
So the first time I was I think it was 18, 19, and then that second one, I think I was 20, 21. Yeah.
Did you guys hear that? Sorry, I just was playing Tony. Tony, I'm going to paste your channel here. Hopefully you guys, everyone can see that. I didn't know the lady from Mindhunters. They did her in, they hid her in plain sight with the makeup. Is she in Mindhunters as well? I only know Anna Torv from Fringe, which is one of my favorite shows of all time.
Mindhunter, there's not a better show that's shot in, like, they always do one room, like, and they get it, so it's just a very cinematically pleasing piece. I thought it was a good show too. I was surprised that it didn't last longer.
Okay, so what are your thoughts on how
they age,
the aesthetic, the looks?
Yeah, Pedro Pascal, it makes sense because he's pretty much playing the age he actually is. So like, you only have, that's the best way to go about this type of thing, is to get an actor that's pretty much already the age that they're going to have to be in for the long run, and then age them down. Just, I mean, because especially a guy like, you know, from 40 to 60, you know, you get some grays, like you know what I mean? Like it's reasonable. So it's not too much. And you obviously don't deal with the daughter aging, unfortunately. And we have not seen Tommy yet. But you know, that will be, I think, so far separated that he'll have that on, you know.
Yeah. I was like a little concerned, like for this episode, Bill, right? Like when you see that he is, you know, the age that Nick Offerman is in like 2003, I was like, okay, so like, I mean, he doesn't look younger. He even has like a little thing there, but then I didn't realize that they were aging him up, and I'm actually glad they did that because that's easier to do. To make them much.
He looked a bit like
later.
Santa Claus by the end, though. That was my only thing. I thought it was like a little Santa Claus.
Because
that's why he killed himself.
The age he's supposed to be, I think, in the beginning, or in 2003, is what he is in like the present day, which is at that in the game. By the way, it's 2013. It starts in 2013, and then it's in 2033. Yeah.
Well, after Patty Cosending's character is like whatever, like the ridiculous aging that was happening on that show, I'm what?
You know, they're the same makeup people.
I could totally buy him as 36. Not a problem at all.
Same makeup people as House of the Dragon, by the way.
What's that?
They're the same makeup people that worked on.
Oh, you're kidding, really?
Yeah, they are. I don't.
Oh, wow.
Well, at least I can confirm that part of the team for sure worked on House of the Dragon and did Patty Constantine. I know that.
Well, thank God there were no white wigs in this.
Yeah. Well, that's never great, unless you're Georgia Washington. But yeah, they. It's interesting too. You notice it because in the game, Farhan, you'll know this. There's the scar that Joel has from when Sarah is killed. In that I don't see it here, but there is a scar on his face, and you'll notice that it's not there during the flashback when he's having that nice little garden lunch with Frank. So you do see like that's an easy way to age, right? That's a way to show things have happened. It's like scars. It's like, you know, have happened. Like he didn't have a scar there. He didn't have so many grays there, so you got to see it.
Thanks, Reflective.
Yeah, I think that it's great.
No, but I was like. I was worried that they were going to age him down, and I was like, okay, well, that's a little harder to do. But I'm glad they aged them up instead, because you can just add stuff, and there you go.
Yeah, they had like literally like less than an hour of him being the age he needed to be younger.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
The rest is
unless they do a flashback again to that. Which, but I thought actually, I found everything very believable. I didn't once go, oh my God, what is going on there? I thought it was all good. The same with the costumes, like I said. And we'll get to some of maybe there's one significant thing that happened in the last episode. Maybe we can touch on that in a bit. But before we do, I want to talk, maybe we can talk about the casting of this show. You know, you were mentioning that maybe there was some talk at one point that Maisie Williams seemed like a logical character or, you know, casting decision. But then I think she got too old. So they went with Bella Ramsey, who I adore. You know, is she not the cutest thing ever? And so good in this show. She's in The Worst Witch, which my son and I reviewed probably 4 or 5 years ago. She starred in this cute little British series years ago.
Yeah.
So what do you guys want to say about that? Justin, I'll go to you.
Okay. Well, Bella is I did not like her in Game of Thrones because like I felt like somebody would have been like, hey, shut up. Like you are calling like she just was over it was one of those like it was they realized people really liked her and I liked it the first time.
Yes.
That she was like, you didn't answer the call and your dad was killed and like you're a punk and you're you know, we'll monitor her language, we'll try to until I forget to. But then she kept doing it. I was like, somebody would be like, all right, shut up. Like now you're just being rude. Like you're not being cool, you're not being brave. You're being you're being inappropriate at a certain point. So shut up. It's not brave. It's not cool. It's not called for. by any means. So so I saw her in Becoming Elizabeth, and she played Jane Grey, which is an interesting part.
Great
Yeah,
casting.
yeah,
Great
great.
casting.
So she is very good at being a stern young lady, right? Like being a not somebody that doesn't want to cooperate, right? Like so she doesn't play the loving, like Elsie in the game is a little bit more I don't know, playful and sweet, I would say. But I do think it's much more realistic having a niece of my own, who I love. But they're kind of terrible in their teens. You know what I mean? Like they're kind of like, they don't want to hear anything, and they know, and they're just snotty. And it just is, that's how kids are. I was the same way. So like I think that she is a realistic person for this. And I do think that there was a line in this last episode that really spoke to me when Joel gives her those directions about how she has to listen to him and all this. Like I forget what it was verbatim, right? And he goes, repeat, tell me you heard what I said. What did I say? And she goes,
What you say goes.
What you say, right? She gave him the abridged version, which means, first off, that's a sign of a smart kid, because she got the gist of what he was saying. It wasn't like being like rude, like, oh, like, yeah, you said something like this. Like just to repeat the words verbatim means nothing. She got the message, the sentiment of what he was saying. What you say goes. He never said that. So like I thought it was really powerful.
Oh yeah, you mean like 2 words. Okay, yeah. No, because I thought you meant like from the game, because that is the direct dialogue from the game too.
No, not in the show. He says something like, you don't like do this, you don't do that. And so she just sums it up with, he goes, now tell me that you understand, repeat what I said. And she goes, what you said goes. She got the gist of it. Like she's
but
like,
she's lying. Like at least
but she's not a idiot, and she is there, and she's not gonna bend the knee. She doesn't feel she has a valid argument about tests, by the way. You know what I mean? Like she's not a dumb kid, and she's not gonna be treated like she's a hassle because they chose to do this. They're on this road. They better they have to keep going down it. You know what I mean? And she seems to be quite clever too in her getting information from Joel. She seems to be talking about things that are lighter. Like he doesn't want to talk about tests and things from the past. So she's probing in very intelligent ways. I think that Bella Ramsey's doing a very good job here. I don't think she would be a regular kid, because that's a regular kid in our world. And regular kids in our world are terrible too. So, like she's snotty.
Yeah, she kind of reminds me a little bit of me when I was a kid. I was a real chatty Cathy. I'm sure you guys would be shocked by that. And I always asked tons of questions, like to the point of being annoying. And I had a friend who used to say, Heidi, are you like an interviewer or something? And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I will be one day. And so I'd always be like, so what do you do? What are you wearing? Why are you doing that? Where are you going? I was one of those kinds of people. And she kind of reminds me of that. Just a very curious young girl. Like that's sort of the gist I'm getting. But at the same time, she is a little bit naughty, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's a little bit...
a punk. She's a little bit of a punk.
She's a bit of a punk. She's not like, in the last episode, for instance, she completely defied what, I mean, I guess I'm saying defied. He didn't say, hey, if there's a cellar and with an infected individual in there, don't go down there. He didn't say that and then stab them in the head. But, that sort of, I think it's implied.
Well, yeah, it's like, hey, don't go do crazy shit. And then she goes and she sees that she's experimenting, because she asked him earlier, the episode before, about if he felt bad about killing people, because like it's an old Rick Grimes, remember in season 1, where he's all like noble and he's like, you look at here, this is Scott Jerrison. He was a carpenter, you know what I mean? Like it's like he picks up the zombies pocket like book and like starts talking. So like she was kind of experimenting with that. But yeah, I think that it's a good, and there's the dad aspect, because he lost his daughter and now he doesn't want to allow himself, but he's still doing the dad jokes. Anything bad in here? Just you. Like so he's still. I think that he's we protect ourselves in terrible ways, and we're seeing that.
Yeah,
emotionally.
What do you think, Farhan, about both Bella Ramsey and then the character kind of thing, being a punk? Have we lost Farhan? I think he's frozen.
I think that's exactly how it should be. No, am I frozen?
Well, you're it's either that or you're sitting really still. Oh, there you are. You're moving now.
Oh, okay.
Is it him or is it me?
No, it's him.
Okay.
It's on his
Farhan, you might have to leave and come back.
Unless he's just smiling like that. Do you think that
Silver scale.
that's not likely?
Oh, there he is. Okay. Farhan, you're frozen.
You should
frozen.
disconnect and come back in. That's
Oh,
what
there
I
he
would
goes.
do.
Okay. So it's just Justin and I. Justin, hello, Justin. It's just you and I.
Hello.
It's kind of romantic.
No, it's not. No. Jesus.
Well, no. By the way, I should tell you guys, if you don't know, my husband, he pulled like a ligament or something in his arm, so his arm is in a cast right now and a sling, and so it's been poor Jack. He's been having to, try to do things with just one arm. And so there's certain things I have to help him with, but I'm surprised actually how much stuff he can actually do with his, the one arm. And it's his
We're
left
just,
arm too.
us fellas are just being lazy when we're using 2 arms. We can do everything with one. And it's just, you know what I mean? Like, we just don't want you guys to know it, like, because then you want us to do
Yeah.
more. But yeah, we could definitely do more.
Carl says frozen Farhan. He has perfect posture.
No, yeah, it was very nice. At least, you know what? I have seen terrible freezes though, like like it'll get like distorted.
Yeah,
so like at least it was like in a nice smile for him. So at least there was that. Like
exactly. It was frozen in a nice smile. Oh yeah, it's true. Jack is like a pirate. His name's Jack. Oh, costumeco, that sounded like you were just rejected. How dare Justin turn down such a low- I wasn't making advances on him. I was
clearly,
yeah. He was like, I'm shutting costumeco down.
No,
I was just saying we're having a little romantic moment, the two of us being here together alone.
Romance. But yeah, no, speaking about romance, we do have the situation with Tess that's alluded to. So these are very important.
Sorry, let me add Farhan back. He's back.
Yep.
Sorry to kill the romance. Hello.
There you are. We were saying that you had very good posture when you were frozen.
No, you froze with the best. You froze with a nice smile. Most people freeze like very
smile.
distorted.
That's good.
No, you got lucky.
Good.
Like it usually looks like somebody shot somebody. Like usually looks bad. You got lucky on that one.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the romance. It's just, I mean, I don't know. From my point of view, as someone who hasn't played the game, it seems like a very just situational romance. But maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I mean, type of romance is there?
Yeah, that's kind of all it is. They sort of allude to it in the game, but they never actually confirm it like they do in the show.
Yeah.
Right. Like when she finally lays down with him in that first episode, I was like, oh, okay, so they are. Like, I always suspected it, and I was pretty sure, but they never really made that clear. And then it's like, okay, well, if you need any more confirmation, then here it is.
Maybe they're just laying down friends.
Do we know if the showrunners had chats with the game creators at all?
Yeah, they're working with the game creators.
Oh, well, then there you go.
They're there.
So any kind of subtext that there is, they were able to help flesh out a little bit.
Yeah, and so on that note, as with this last episode, and I see there is a little bit, and I've responded to it. A little bit about so there is a drastic change from Frank and Bill in the game to in the show. Frank and Bill in the game, I have a picture of Bill right here. Let me get it. Hold on, everybody. Let's see. So this is
oh, okay, that's actually pretty good.
No, yeah, but then hold on, let me get the actual picture I need, which is how we meet Frank. I gotta screen cap it using this because for some reason it wouldn't let me load it into StreamYard. Thanks, StreamYard, you're so accessible. But yeah, you want to so hold on one second, let me do a screen grab, which I should be able to do. Present share screen on people, and Carl's saying that Farhan has all kinds of cool toys on his wall, and I agree.
Thank you.
He has a really nice setup there.
Do we see this here?
Yep.
So that is how you meet Frank in the game.
The one hanging?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So he does commit suicide then.
Yes. So let me hold on. Let me get back first because this is a careful slippery slope I'm navigating here. All the terrible things I pulled up. Anyways, but so in the game we have that situation. They are confirmed as being lovers. We're not sure what happened. It seems like Frank got sick of Bill. Blah, blah, that's kind of the subtext. But here's what I really like about what they did is that with Joel, we don't have any, besides the insinuation of Tess. We don't have any depiction in this world. This is why this is not filler. Now, it is a risk to go in your third episode and dive out. Now, I feel they gave
Oh, it seems
a
like
good amount of
Justin
time, around 20 in this episode, but
Oh,
they did
Justin,
dive
you
out and
broke
they
up
went.
a bit.
I should still be here, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
can you
okay,
just
there you go.
repeat what you
Hello?
were saying? I've
Am I
been
there?
having internet issues all day. It seems
Okay,
to
so
be going on with everybody.
Okay, so what I'm talking about is there was a little bit of a hubbub about if this is filler, they did deviate. So I'm going to argue that they deviated for the sake of storytelling optics here, and I thought it was a smart move, and it is a bold move. It came with a lot of risks to go in your third episode and pretty much deviate completely from your two that are on a journey. The reason this is important, the reason it is not filler, is because no spoilers, but this is a situation in which somebody is going to have to measure the worth of life. And this is what they've been doing the whole time. We don't have one depiction in this story of a life well lived yet, right? So it's very important in storytelling. And I know it sounds silly, but it is true. Trust me on this. It's true in every single medium to show every aspect that you want on the line. Don't assume. We know that life is worth living ourselves, right? But in this post-apocalyptic world, the optics of storytelling are slim. You only know what you see. Trust me, it will not feel as potent if you don't see it. We saw a life well lived. We saw what could happen in this world. Yes, it didn't. I mean, it ended obviously a little bit kind of romantic, kind of sad, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, we saw people that could get through. So we do know there's a chance now. We've seen it of people living a full, somewhat satisfied life, right? And finding love and finding happiness and all of this cruelty and all of this despair. So this is very important to depict. And I thought they did it beautifully with this relationship. I think these are two great actors to do it with. I think that going the route they did with the type of relationship it was smart, because these would have been people that would have been able to live freer than they were living before, blah, 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 especially with, Bill seemed to be a little bit more closeted, right? Like, so this was his opportunity. And so I think it was potent. It wasn't a cheap grab, like I've seen people say or anything like that. I think that I judge a love story on a love story, not on what sex it is. I will criticize it if it is same sex or opposite sex. I don't care. So it's not, everybody just likes it because it was this. No, not at all. I will judge it upon what it is. And this was the right moment for it. I think it was a smart move and a great chance to actually tell a story respectfully in the way they did. And I thought it was beautiful.
I was just going to say that why this third episode kind of reminded me of Station 11, that Justin, I don't know if you remember in the analysis, the subtitle for the show is "Survival is Insufficient." And this is sort of what it felt like for me. Like, despite all of the obstacles that they're encountering, they still lived a good life together.
Yes.
Like I was saying to Jack, oh my God, like they had 20 years together. Like that's amazing.
Yeah.
In an apocalypse. So I thought that was amazing. And the other thing is Nick Offerman said, I guess sort of how this was pitched was they wanted to have a love story sort of within Cormac McCarthy's The Road, which, by the way, I saw The Road, I don't know how many years ago, and I actually lost it after I saw that movie. I was so devastated after I watched it. I don't know what it was about it. It was the same with Melancholia after I watched that, which is also another like end of the world sort of show. It just completely devastated me. And so there was sort of like a hint of that in this, I think, where you had there was hope,
Mm-hmm.
in this complete devastation.
Yeah, you do have two. You have a situation. We have realistic depiction also, like where he says like I love the line of I've had bad days with you as well. But the role of and I'll turn it over to Farhan. The role of Bill in this game is to give you a truck. Okay, that's the role of Bill.
It's ultimate.
Okay, so like when they say they deviated, I say I don't care because they did it right. Now, the only thing that I think they really took a risk on is the amount of time, but I thought it was beautiful. Thought it played out. I think that some people will say, because some people think Ellie and Joel are still just in the truck. This should have just been a pit stop, and they should have went. And if you didn't like something, you didn't like something. But I do think it's very important to look at storytelling optics, and if you are going to at least critique story, understand that, you know, these things really do matter to show this. And they had to do it at one time. They've been doing it the whole time. It also showed a backstory with Tess and Joel. It gave you little tidbits of everything. So a little taste of life per se. But yeah, like, no, it could have, yes, been obviously taken care of with Bill giving them the truck. Okay.
I don't know if this is going to happen in the game, but I also thought, okay, this is, you know, because he's died and he's left all of these guns and supplies and everything. I thought, you know, how Joel had to bury things and everything. He's going to have access to readily, you know, available supplies. Like I know in the games, you guys like,
Yes.
you can buy things. So I'm like, oh, if he needs to stop somewhere, get guns, get supplies. I mean, they only took what they could with them. By the way, what is with Ellie and the wanting of the gun? Do you guys know? Would you have some sense of what's going on there?
I mean, yeah, it's just more that she wants to sort of be in control and have like be sort of responsible, like feel like she's responsible for something herself, you know, and like isn't like doesn't feel like somebody else has to be responsible for her, that she can sort of carry her own weight as well. So it's kind of just that, really, you know.
Also, too, I think that we should factor in that she would feel completely trusted if they let her have a gun, right? Like, because it's like, why don't I let people have a gun? Like, I'm not letting you guys right now. I said it before the stream. You can't have guns. I don't care. It's on a stream. I don't know how it work all that well. I'm just not taking the risk. I don't trust you. But if I let you have guns, you'd be like, oh, Justin really trusts me. Also, Farhan,
yeah.
Hey, put it down. Put it. Yeah.
Yeah. He's got his katana.
I put it in my writer. My
well, and the thing is, though, also they don't, you know, they're still getting to know each other, right? Like I feel that later down the line, he might be like, okay, let me show you how to use a gun. I feel kind of like, you know, you see that on The Walking Dead. You see that in a lot of dystopian stories. So, but she's still a little girl. She's only 13. The one thing that's weird that keeps coming up, I don't know what this is all about, and it's come up a couple of times where he says, you did go to school, right? Or you did go, you know. But and then she's like, well, yeah, but it's not that, you know, like the one thing that I thought was a little bit weird is that when she goes into the hotel, she walks into the hotel and she starts pretending to ring the bell and do whatever. And I'm like, she wouldn't have known that. I was like, she wouldn't have known that.
She's read stories. There's stories, so like she's acting out. So that's because you hear that with the Mortal Kombat too. Like she's never even played that game. I don't even think the person that told her about it had. Maybe they had, but it doesn't matter. But yeah, it's about the stories. I just wanted to say, Byron, how much of a like gaming moment was to put down that the assault rifle? How many times have I in Skyrim or any game lugged around weight and become over encumbered because you got a weapon, and it's such, and I'm like, I need this. I actually
did a full video about that, how I'm a inventory hoarder. Item hoarder.
I kneel so I can slide. Yeah, I won't do it. Yeah,
like even. Are you talking about Joel when he buries the gun?
Yeah, that's a very gamer moment, Heidi. That he brings up. Yeah, it's because you can't have that shit because it'll overweigh you, and there's not enough ammunition, and you don't want to because it's such a sweet gun, but you got like how many like NATO 7.62 rounds left, and you're like, oh.
And if you're a gamer, it doesn't matter if it's sweet or not. If it's something you want to keep,
it's yours. What if you got it?
What if it was logical though? He said, I don't have any ammo for it.
It is, but Heidi, we could get ammo. We could get ammo down the road. Can I please carry it still?
But also, but she said she wanted to carry it, right?
Yeah, she knows.
Even in The Witcher 3, like you get over encumbered, and if you get over encumbered, you can no longer like go at your normal running pace. You're like just walking really slowly, and I'm like, no, I will get to the merchant and sell these items if I have to. I don't care.
Yes.
Hi, hometown girl.
I became a vampire in Skyrim constantly, so I could turn into a vampire because I refused to drop pots that I had stolen, so I could sell them to the Thieves Guild. You know what I mean? Like, Heidi, this is a big part of our life here. I've spent many hours playing games like Skyrim, overweight and not being able to move fast.
Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of like Chekhov's gun. You know, they're showing this basement full of ammunition and guns and everything, and then you're like, and he's leaving most of it, so you're like, okay, they must at some point go back to this place, and he's the only one who has the code to get in, so it's not like, you know, other people are going to be able to break in because I'm assuming the place is still armed or whatever. Is it or is
no?
I do want to mention like the things that I have the background. There's a lot of like Sony stuff, so I have like PlayStation and like the PlayStation logo, and I've got the Leviathan axe from God of War, and a Lego tall neck from Horizon Forbidden West.
And you have a plushie of a I recognize from Pokemon.
Yeah,
You have a
just
plushie.
sure.
I've seen it at any.
Well, I have a sort of a green Mario shell from Mario Kart, and then that's not a plushie. That's that Pokeball is like an actual metal and ceramic
Yeah.
little model.
It's not a plushie, all right?
By the way, okay, who are the Raiders? Because Silver Scale's talking about who are the Raiders? Who are they just like a militia? Who
Well,
are
that's
they?
what would happen. People become tribalistic.
Yeah.
So it's
Mhm.
amazing that in 10 years, only one group of
Are they like
raiders
Tuscan
can.
Raiders?
Well, whatever you want to do. But yeah, no, they are people that have figured out that this place now this is off the map in the game. It's a little bit out of the way. So it seems to be like Joel says, like he kind of like lays it out
Thanks,
for like
Cassie.
the situation, and it's interesting. So yeah, but it's just like Walking Dead. This is what would happen if you have things and other people don't have things. They will do what it takes to get them. And they it looks like it's surprising that it doesn't happen more, right? I would argue, but they didn't for the story's sake. They just needed to show Bill get hurt and show his faith in Joel.
The other thing I was going to say that I thought was a little bit colloquial is Tess or not Tess, sorry, Ellie. What's her name again?
Ellie.
Oh.
Ellie.
Ellie calling Joel. She call him dude. She's like, dude.
Yeah.
Did she say that? I think that didn't work for me. That sounded too contemporary to me.
Yeah, she's been and I share this criticism of her as an actress in other series. In this one, I think she's kind of blending it. It is true that Bella Ramsey has a little bit trouble being anything other than the tell it all like it is type of girl. She's very good when it's dramatic scenes, right? When she has to do something where she's very stern, where she's playing around and being playful like a child hypothetically would be. There is some criticism, and I've seen it in other series as well. I think that I heard some criticism about the Mortal Kombat scene, about how it felt forced. It feels forced a little bit because that's kind of like not how we see her in any role.
Well, in
but
this case, it would be more the writing. Like,
well, no, I mean, no, okay. So this is another thing that you don't know. So in the game, it's not Mortal Kombat. It's some like other. I can't remember what the thing is called. I think it's just a fictitious sort of arcade machine that they have because they didn't have the rights. But they do have that in the game as well, and there is a actual reason for it. I don't know if you played the Left Behind DLC. But they will touch on that. There'll be an episode because I've seen that stuff in the trailer where they explain all of that stuff as well.
Well, I get why they had her do the thing, and I get what she's also referencing in Mortal Kombat is very similar to what happened to Tess in the episode before with the kiss of death and so forth, and love also being a killer because of love for somebody keeping you strained. So I get the connection. I don't know what it was in the game. I forget. My point is there's criticism, and it's not my criticism, but it's out there about Bella Ramsey's ability to play a regular child, to play anything other than "fuck you, everybody, you didn't fucking answer Jon Snow's call" type of girl. I feel she's holding it.
If you had seen The Worst Witch, she's done like 3 seasons. She totally can play a kid.
I'm saying she's doing fine here. I'm just saying that criticism is out there. I
think she's doing a great job as a 13-year-old. I have a 13-year-old. I have a 16-year-old. I'm like, I totally am buying it.
Well, she better do good. She's 18. So.
But she's it's working though. It's like I'm not again with the ages compared to House of the Dragon with Viserys or whatever, which was ridiculous in my humble opinion. I totally buy the ages in this. I haven't once gone, oh wow, that doesn't work.
Which is
it works for me.
Which is the thing that I want. Like someone mentioned about part 2 and how they're going to do that with season 2.
That was Tony.
Yeah, I was a little. Yeah, I'm like kind of. Like I know how they might, and they just like might age her up a little bit and like put her in different clothes. But I'm hoping that like what I would have wanted to see, like I love the sort of part 2, like they're gonna do part 2 and eventually. But I would have preferred if like they actually spent time because there's 5 years in between 1 and 2, and so if they spent like those few seasons in between, like talking like showing us what happened in between for new and old fans alike, so we can actually sort of get more things going on in between there or something, and then eventually touch on part 2, because I feel like going immediately from season 1 to 2, there's just going to be this massive jump, and maybe I guess if they're only planning on doing 2 or 3 seasons, then fine, but I don't know.
Tony said they could potentially recast her. which
They
might
could,
be.
but I don't think they won't.
You don't
I
think they
They
will?
won't. I
They
don't
could
think.
they could put her like they could get Henry Cavill's workout trainer,
No, they could
and
get
get her
Henry
in,
Cavill.
or they just get Henry Cavill
I don't.
to train her.
I don't like
No,
anything
no,
about
no.
it. To be honest
Just
with
to
you.
be to replace Ellie.
Oh,
Yeah.
she's that big?
No, I'm kidding.
Oh my god.
Abby.
No,
Okay, I
in
don't
the
know
game,
anything
she
about it,
literally
so that's
becomes
pretty
Henry
funny.
Cavill. Like actually, like that's
Yeah.
the story.
Yeah.
That would be
Like,
really
yeah.
cute if Henry Cavill
That's
played
why
her.
she can't get infected. It's because she's Henry Cavill, not Superman. Henry
Yes,
Cavill. And
yes.
she
Well,
loves.
he's not doing anything at the moment.
Well,
You
he's
know,
playing with
funny-
his
no
tabletop
Witcher.
games. He's
It's
doing
funny.
his
Years
thing.
ago, I wrote a
That's true.
dystopian book about a girl who had immunity from a zombie virus. I don't
Mhm.
know if I told you that, sorry, Justin. And in my case, though, it was because of her genes. She had these, like, she had a kind of she had some type of genetic well, apparently, because I said this to Jack actually even before we started watching the show. I said, 1% of the population will always be immune to any particular virus, like the coronavirus or the plague, the Black Plague. And they even said that some people, I guess, who were immune to the Black Plague or smallpox or whatever, that carries through in their DNA.
Yeah.
So it totally makes sense that she would be immune. I don't know if there's another reason behind it, but just genetically speaking, there should be at least 1% of the population.
Yeah, there definitely should be. And it gets more into like what's actually happening with her.
Yeah.
scientifically and stuff like that.
So now Justin's going to start really worrying. Justin's like, Heidi was like, Justin, we're now alone. And then now I'm calling you Jack. So hey, do you guys want to talk about the virus a little bit, which is sort of fun? How they handle as opposed to, the anger virus or the, in The Walking Dead, they sort of treat it. They do actually. The Walking Dead does it just like Day of the Triffids, where like you wake up in the hospital and you're like, where is everybody? And then there's some kind of viruses outbreak, and they do the same thing in Resident Evil, actually, I think. But in this one, it's actually we start off with this flashback to the '60s, where this doctor's like, oh, it's not going to be a pandemic of a bacteria. It's going to be a pandemic of a fungal infection.
Yeah.
Fungus. So what do you guys all think about that?
I think it's smart. I think it's smart because they touch on the point of they look at that as an impossibility because it can only survive below 94 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm paraphrasing here, something like that. So things can only survive. We see this a lot, like with global warming. Whatever your thoughts on it, whatever's causing it, it's happening. So things change. The environment changes. Bacteria changes. Fungus changes. So this is it's very good horror because it's based in reality. It's based in a actual fear that we as human beings should have. You know what I mean? I guess you should have some fears. Fears are a production, and so yeah, I think that fungus is gross. I think that the way the spores move and all that is very smart as far as like alerting. You step on a patch, it alerts them. The stages is very interesting as far as like they go blind eventually. That's where you get those clickers. Farhan might know more about this. The guy we saw in the basement with Ellie was in stage 2 of it, I believe, because like the eye was still being run by the fungus. But remember, she cut. It was making. The cornea was moving with the knife, but when she cut, it didn't act like a human would act. Like that's what she was looking for. So I think it's gross. I think that it has a mating aspect, like an alien-esque, like what we saw with Tess. It's just so gross, and I think it's very scary. It's very scary, and I don't know. I played this game called Contagion, like on my iPad in like 2013, and like the whole thing was like, what do you want? You got to try to infect the whole world, and you want spores. You want the fungus up there. It seems to be the way to go.
Oh, do you mean Plague Inc? Or is that what you're talking about? Where you like?
Yes, yeah. That's the one.
That one.
That was one thing I was going to say, though. Okay, with Ellie courting danger with the infected guy in the basement, I kept thinking, aren't there spores like that can come out of the fungus that you could potentially inhale, like even getting close to them? Like, I thought that was sort of risky behavior. There's actually a movie by M. Night Shyamalan where these people they inhale these particular
it is
fungal
spores in the game. They just
Oh,
decided
there
to
are
change
spores.
it.
Okay.
They just decided to change it to tendrils in the show.
Okay.
And
The other
in
thing,
the game, it's like especially works because it's like there are loads of sections where like you gotta wear a mask and like everything is hard to see. Like it's like like before they get to Bill's, they go to sort of like the subway, and it's like completely covered in spores, and so they're wearing these masks and stuff, and it's like all
Okay.
green. It's hard to see, which makes the whole thing experience, I
hi,
guess,
Leisha.
scarier. And then
Okay. So
and
they
then it's also
decided
like
that,
an interesting
okay, so they
thing to note
removed that
that
whole, okay.
yeah, like when Joel's like, "How the hell are you breathing in this stuff?" to Ellie, because she doesn't
Mhm.
wear a gas mask.
Yeah, so she wouldn't have that risk. Like, so the risk to her, you know, of course, is like Tess says, you're not immune to getting ripped apart. So it's risky behavior, and it's typical kid behavior, being a scamp down there cutting that fella's head open. You know, we all did it. But yeah, it's her experimenting a little bit. It's her, you know.
Yeah. Also, if she got bitten, it's not like she'll get infected.
I know. I
But
love
no,
how she's like, "Fuck, if it had to happen to somebody, I guess."
yeah, no, that was a good point though that Joel made. Like she can still be torn apart. Like she, you know,
Yeah.
horrifically,
But
you know,
like,
attack.
if under a pile of like bricks and debris and stuff,
Yeah.
Prove it, Joel.
But the other thing it was funny, I was thinking about this because my son is kind of like a little bit into mushrooms, and he was saying to me that do you know that mushrooms are actually closer to humans? They're not technically a vegetable. They're closer to humans, like the way that they can. And it was interesting because they do this. Like they show them communicating, right?
Yeah.
The fungus does actually communicate. So I thought that was really interesting.
It's
And
true.
I was thinking because vegans eat. I was joking with Jack about this today. Vegans eat mushrooms, and I was like, oh, in the future they're going to find out they're actually like related to humans, and they'll be like horrified that they've been eating like mushrooms all these years.
Well, I mean, not to get off point, but I've actually been looking into, for my anxiety and stuff, the microdosing. There's been a lot of
oh yeah,
there's been a
Michael
lot of
Pollan did a really good
Yeah.
documentary about that, Justin.
I'm looking into it because my receptors through 10 years of DJing got ruined, and it's not microdosing like magic mushrooms. It's fungus. You know, like there's a lot of very helpful that can reopen, just like playing the piano reopens my mind. Fungus, you know, there's type of fungi. Speaking of piles on there, yes, it's very interesting. And they've been doing it for a while. So I'm waiting, you know what I mean, for them to really. But it seems like it's getting pretty. You know, it looks legit to me. It seems like they've got like enough case studies, so I like it. Very interesting.
Yeah, actually, it's funny because one of my clients, they're food science and like mushrooms, like mycelium you guys are talking about, is being used in all kinds of different ways in the food, like, you know, the food industry, because it's a fungus like mycelium I was reading, or this particular fungus is actually antibacterial. So even though you know, like, so if it does invade, let's say, an ant, it'll no bacteria can really form in there because it has bacterial properties. So it could have actually real world sort of uses for humans. So it's sort of, I thought it was a really interesting hypothesis about this zombie, the zombie fungus in reality, like, you know, and then they apply it to humans. I thought that was a really interesting sort of, you know, way to go about it, as opposed to, like I say, the angry virus, or like they did in 28 Days Later, or some kind of mutation, you know.
I like
you
it.
hunt mushrooms. Yeah. Justin is learning. Well, Justin, where are you at with your piano playing?
I can play it.
Can you play the Linda Ronstadt song? You're
Wait, what is that? Oh, Love Is That. I can play it. I can play
So maybe fungus will take over the world. One of the things I was going to say, just in terms of, because like when I was looking up the actually mycelium and this particular fungus, it doesn't really look like that. Most of them are kind of like stalks kind of thing, like little stalks. They've done this sort of like spreader kind of like it's almost like artwork. It's really beautifully designed. And I thought that the production design on this show is really, really amazing. I thought they did. I mean, obviously the creature effects are really cool, but I love the production design with the actual fungus. It's kind of an interesting sort of way to show the actual, how the disease is spread.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's very potent. I'll play something at the end if we have time to.
Okay, well, okay.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of, we were talking about Linda Ronstadt. Do you guys? I was telling this to somebody today because she was saying she really loved the White Lotus theme song, and I said, you know, to be honest with you, I don't even know what it is. I don't remember. Do you guys recall the music? Do you recall?
Yeah, I can play the intro to The Last of Us. Yeah.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Who is the composer? Or do you know?
I don't know. I don't.
I know. I just can't pronounce it. And
in this, besides Linda Ronstadt, in this, I know they played Max Richter. It's from The Leftovers.
Okay.
Max Richter plays Mercy, and he's a lot like Hans Zimmer. He's up there with him, I think.
Like I'm gonna try to pronounce it, but I might butcher it completely. But it's Gustavo Santaola.
Yeah. He plays a 12-string guitar.
I'll put it in chat because I don't want to,
Yeah.
in case you guys are better at pronouncing it than I am. Anyway,
that's the thing about this show. Yeah, that you can see. There's been multiple concerts where they've actually done the voice actors and they've acted this out and they've had the screen up and Gustav has played. It's on this 12-string guitar, so it's this really fast. It's got this horror twang. It's very simple, but all scores. It's very great at evoking emotion.
Luna's back. Hi, Luna. Oh, hey, Brad. Brad's here. Brad says, "Can Justin actually?" Yeah, we were just talking about that.
Yeah, and the voice actors who did the performance capture, they're you're welcome.
Gustavo Santaolalla.
Yes,
no, it's Gustavo.
Gustavo.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, the voice actors Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson are some of the best in the industry.
Yeah, they've done full stadium shows. This has been a very potent story for a long time. So I think that lends to it too.
And they're going to be in the show too, by the way.
Oh, are they? I didn't know that.
Yeah, who's going to be in the show?
Ashley Johnson, who plays Ellie in the game, and Troy Baker.
I thought I read that she passed away. There was somebody who passed away. I saw on your
Annie Wershing.
She played Tess?
She played Tess, yeah.
Oh, okay. I saw that on your Twitter that she passed away just a few days ago.
Yeah.
She must have been really young.
Yeah. I think, she was 45, I think. Let me see.
Wow. It was it cancer?
Annie Wershing. Yeah, it was.
By the way, I want to mention that Penny Marshall passed away. Or not Penny Marshall. Not Laverne, but Shirley. Penny Marshall.
Yeah, she was 45. Yeah.
Well, that's sad.
Yeah.
Who played Shirley and Laverne and Shirley? Cindy Williams. Sorry, she passed away today.
So Ashley Johnson, she's a superstar in Critical. Yeah, she's great in Critical Role as well. She's great in everything. But Ashley Johnson is she plays Ellie in the game, but she'll be playing her mother in this.
Oh.
And Troy Baker, who plays pretty much every male protagonist that you can think of, including Joel, is also in this show, and he's going to be playing one of the villains is sort of goons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So someone was saying they didn't realize that Frank was the actor in White Lotus. And it's funny, I was going to say this. So one of the things that's sort of interesting, so Frank is Australian, the actor who plays Frank. And then Anna Torv, she's also Australian, Anna Torv. And then, obviously Bella Ramsey's British, and then Pedro Pascal is Chilean. So they're all putting on American accents, except for what's his name from Community? He's American. Nick Offerman. Was Ashley Johnson on Buffy? Oh, we're gonna get some music from Justin. Justin, what are you gonna play?
I don't know. Hold on, I can't do it with my fucking my wires there.
Hi, Chadwick.
No, the Last of Us, I believe it's just this.
Ah, yes.
And then something like that. Yeah, that's about
I
it.
was thinking it would be interesting if kind of like Grayscale, you know, what's her cute face in Game of Thrones, when they're able to find like somebody who just stopped the grayscale. It'd be interesting to have somebody who is infected, like, except for, you know, not Ellie, obviously, who they are able to stop it, and then they're actually able to find out what is it like to go through that. Like, but Joel was sort of describing it a little bit, like, you know, you'd eat something with the flour, you'd eat some food processed that was contaminated, and then you know, you start feeling sick, you know. But obviously it's probably similar, like you get a fever, I guess. I don't know, they don't really show anyone going through the different stages. Do they show that in the video game, what happens, like the different stages
You
of
just
the
see
infection?
them in
Yeah.
different stages. You don't
You-
see them progress.
Yeah,
Okay.
they don't really give you an explanation as to
Yeah.
how the virus started, where it came from, and sort of that process. Because in the game, at least, like, there's a lot of things in it that they don't include because they want to make it much more of a self-contained story and keep that stuff like a mystery. And I think that's kind of the point of it, at least in the game, is that, like, it's just supposed to be, it is what it is. This is the life that they're living now. The rest doesn't matter, you know?
I'm assuming that once it gets into your brain, like you know, your brain basically dies, and
Mhm.
it's no longer you. So at some point you would die. It's funny. I saw this one. It was like a beetle or something that was like its body was completely hauled out, but it was still kind of operating. So I think if it infects your brain, once your brain is infected, like, you're no longer you. So even, like, for instance, when she saw that infected person in the basement, I'm assuming he was no longer lucid, that he was just being controlled by the virus, right? Or not the virus, but the fungal infection. Yeah, biological Borg. That's kind of it, right? The clickers.
Yeah, I
Now,
saw somebody else make that reference. I don't understand what a Borg is. Is that from Star Trek?
yes,
Yeah, I don't understand the reference.
I did it
I've
in my
seen it
last
though.
video, Justin.
What?
You don't remember my reference in the last video? It's a
Oh,
hive
that's
mind. I had it in.
that's where. No, now I'm remembering where I heard it. Yeah,
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 it's like a hive mind.
yeah.
Exactly. They all share. Yes. Okay, so what was I going to say about this? About so in the show so far, have we only seen clickers? Like, they're the ones that are like bugs.
No,
Like,
we've seen that the guy that Ellie hurt, like I said, is in the second stage.
he's in second stage. How many stages
Yeah.
are there?
Farhan.
I don't actually know,
Okay,
but
besides
I know when they're not, like, the clickers are sort of referred to the ones in the final stage, but, like, most,
Bloaters.
like,
There's bloaters
their
too.
bloaters are the sort of bigger ones, but like, the sort of umbrella term that kind of defines them all are infected.
And I just want to say I take offense that it's bloater term, that like that's body shaming on these things, and
there
like
is,
we
and
need, like,
also
it's
it's ableist
ridiculous.
to have the clickers.
Oh yeah,
That's
and I think
it's
it's all
ableist to have
ageism
blind clickers.
because it all depends on how old they are. You know what I mean? So that's all a
So
bunch of
runners,
ageism.
so here, natural saying runners, stalkers, clickers, bolters, and rat king. Oh God. That sounds awful.
I'll tell you what's worse than being a clicker or stalker or bloater, being ignorant and using, these terms. All right. We can't be doing it. Yeah, it's no, it's pretty messed up though. Yeah, I think it all depends on where they're at too. It's fungus, so it grows in the dark, right? It grows on
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
So
So Borgs are cyborg robot collective made from conquered species. Exactly. They all live and serve the Borg queen. So that's what I was saying in the video we just did.
that's where I got it
Chronicles
from,
of
yeah.
Riddick. They're kind of like a hive mind.
See,
in
when I'm
that.
editing, I'm learning. I just don't do it. I
Yes.
try not to learn.
Don't
Yeah.
learn, please.
I reject it, but yeah.
Please stay ignorant. I'm counting on it.
I'm excited to see the bloaters though, and how they're gonna do
Okay,
that.
so why are they bloaters, and what happens there? Like, what's going on there?
Well, I mean, they're like,
Without too many spoiler kind of ideas there.
without giving too many spoilers. Well, they're like these. They're like, I think that one's stage 4, right? Yeah.
So how many stages are there?
I don't know how many. Let's see, how many.
Like Justin was saying, the one in the basement is like a stage.
I'm looking it up. Yeah,
2.
there's stage 2.
But the clickers are what stage are they?
That's stage 3 or 4.
It was funny. There's a movie years ago called Mimic, and it kind of reminded me of that.
All right, I got it.
and
Sorry, go ahead.
where there's these like
So-
insects, but they can mimic
Okay.
humans,
Okay,
and they
yeah.
make that kind of noise. Don't bodies bloat during decomposition?
Stage 1 runners, stage 2 stalkers, creeps. Stage 3 clickers, stage 4 bloaters, stage 4 shamblers. What the hell is that? Rare stage, The Last of Us zombie from Rat King. Charlie Kelly from Always Sunny, evidently. And then so there's 1, 2, 3.
So the
4.
ones that go really fast, obviously, are the runners, and they're at the early
Yeah,
stages.
but I don't
They're-
think
they're-
we'll see the Rat King until the second
Okay.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6
so-
stages is right. Yeah. Well, it looks like it's 5. I don't know though. I don't know. I
So-
won't argue with 6.
Can I ask you a question? Like, I know that Tess knew she was going to die and she was going to blow up that place, but why did she let the guy kiss her? Do you think?
Well, she was trying to get the match lit, and I think that it's it's an easier thing to say I'll die
Sure.
than
Yeah,
to die, right?
probably,
Like so, like
yeah.
there's I think she wasn't hesitating, but also like death happens to other people, not yourself.
Mhm.
So like that type of deal. I agree. It was disgusting, by the way.
Mhm.
But he
If
gave her his
you're
wish.
asking as to what the sort of lore explanation is, I don't know, because in the game, I'm pretty sure the infected don't appear there. It's it's Fedra that appears,
Yeah.
and Fedra shoots her instead. I think that's how it happens in the game.
Yeah, but I agree with them, and we already kind of like. I mean, I guess we haven't seen Fedra. We've seen what Fedra has done, but yeah, no. In the show, I think it was it was definitely a potent moment for her to give herself over, and again, the metaphor of love kills, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Also, yeah, I agree. Like, she couldn't stop it, and like, I think at that point you're just in the state of shock, and you're just like
Sure.
frozen up. That's probably why.
Oh, that's right. She was already infected. Okay,
Yeah,
that's a good
yeah,
point.
Yeah.
Okay, hey, before we move on, can we just touch on the biologist or bioscientist or whatever she is? They did that little cold open
Oh, yeah.
with what? Oh my God, I love that scene. So they have this woman, she's sitting in a restaurant and she's eating her lunch, and then they go pick her up, and she's probably living in some kind of like police state or something. So she's like, oh my God, am I under arrest? What have I done? Am I a dissident? What's happening here? No,
we
just
mean
need your
no
help.
issue to you, Malaysia. We think you're fantastic.
Malaysia, if you're watching, we think you're a wonderful country. There is no
Yeah.
problem from us here. But anyway, yeah, and she's like, oh, why am I, am I in trouble? And they're like, no, we just want some advice on this. And so what did you guys think of that scene? First of all, I thought the actress was amazing. I thought she was just, brilliant, especially when she's like, ugh, like, I mean, that's how I would have reacted too. But, and then she's just like, okay, what's your advice? You bomb it all. Just bomb it all. What did you guys think of that whole scene in that? I think that was episode 2.
Like, I think episode 2, in my opinion, out of the 3 episodes, was my favorite, just because of like there were certain things that they took from it that, like, I mean, sort of in the latter part of the episode that like felt like it was from the game as well. But like the beginning part, I actually loved a lot too, because it was like, while I was like sort of forgot what show I was watching, because it was just like, am I even watching the last one, until like they got to that part, because it felt very different. I actually kind of like that a lot, and I would actually like to see, like, if they made like a full like short film just about that, or what happened there. I'd be down to watch that.
Yeah,
I thought it was cool.
definitely.
Me too. Yeah. Again, it kind of reminds me, I know a lot of you people haven't seen Station 11, but it kind of reminds me of that. And Station 11 isn't about a zombie apocalypse, but it's about like a horrible infection that basically kills like 98% of the world or something like that. And I loved it because they did show different locations and what people were experiencing across the world. And I thought that was really interesting to see the perspective, because I find that a lot of times in these shows, nothing against US, but a lot of times everything is very US centric. So it's really interesting to see it from another perspective.
Yeah, we're in charge.
By the way, Justin, you're outnumbered here because both Farhan and I are Canadian.
Yeah, but 10 Canadians can't even make one American. But anyways, no, I'm just joking. You guys are fine. Good little brother. But anyways, yeah, it is interesting. I like her practical, pragmatic approach to it. Her very straightforward thinking as a scientist, mycologist, or whatever it is. She says what is the right thing to do in this situation. This is no spoiler, but foreshadowing. a approach. Maybe it's not the right thing, but it would be the most effective thing hypothetically to stop it. It's no sentiment. It's not, oh my God, these people are going to die. It's the question of killing 1 million people to cure cancer or AIDS, right? It's that question. So she's a scientist. She's like, shit, this is not contained. Bomb. And let me go home. And that means me too, because let me go home to my husband, who kind of sucks. And let me spend some time with him. But, you know, like, I thought it was very powerful.
I think I think it was more her, not her husband. She wanted to see about the
No,
other
I'm
family.
joking. I don't know. We don't know her. I'm just joking.
No, she wanted to be with. Yeah, she wanted to go home with.
She should have went to her boyfriend.
Now, what I wonder though is, did they do what she suggested?
Yeah, they did. It looks like they did. They bombed a lot of that. Boston, for some reason, and we see this carries into the next episode where we see the fallout. You know, that you new age jackboot motherfuckers, right? With if there was room, they would let you in, but there's not. They take you out. Again, this is like, you know, argue with what you want to argue, but you know, in a situation like this, I prefer action over no action. So it is what it is. You know, and I don't know what else you would do. You know, you're trying to stop a disease, so you kill it with death.
Yes.
And it's you know, these aren't great situations. We recently went through something like this with COVID and kind of still going through it.
Totally.
You know, in my opinion on it was, if we're all just going to go back to work without anything scientifically being better, let's at least admit a lot of people are going to get sick. That's fine. Like, and I'm with it. Like, that is what it is. Let's not lie to ourselves. You're going to thin the herd, and it's going to happen. It's like, so you take one approach or not.
And now the one thing is, in the Andromeda strain, I don't know if anybody read the book or watched the movie. In the Andromeda strain, they make a mistake. They do nuke it. They do nuke the city, but then it turns out it's crystals, and it actually just makes the crystals bigger. So you have to make sure you know what you're doing. You don't want to bomb something without knowing exactly what you're doing. Farhan, have you ever tried moose meat? I have. And because natural selection is in one of the games, Canadian moose meat is mentioned. So I guess Canada is still around in the game world.
No, I guess I'm not Canadian enough because I haven't had moose meat.
The only reason why I had it is I had a roommate in college whose parents used to hunt game, and he gave me a bunch of moose meat, and we cooked it. Like, we just cooked it all up, and we had I think I invited like 50 people over, and we ate it. So that's the only time I've had it. I did have a bison burger one time, though. I went up to Alberta and had that, and it was actually really good.
Bison burgers are really good. Bison's good meat. Yeah.
It's good meat. Yeah. So, and I've had deer. So I have had some game meat. So I guess, does that make me, and of course,
well, I still have my British citizenship, so maybe that's why I'm not. Yeah, I have dual citizenship.
Oh, have you had blood pudding?
No, I haven't.
No, maybe that's Scottish.
So you're looking to betray my country on two fronts, Farhan.
Yeah.
Have you had bangers and mash?
No, I only lived there until I was like 2.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, so he just had mash food. I mean, he didn't have all the terrible British breakfast.
Have you had mushy peas?
I wasn't even 2 yet. I was, I
wasn't even 2 yet. Have you had fish and chips?
No.
Yes, of course.
Okay, well, that's good. No, it was funny because I was joking about it's Groundhog Day.
I mean, I do have tea like every.
Oh, you're drinking tea. Okay, well, that's very good.
Twice a day.
Yeah. Twice a day, really. It was funny because a couple of years ago, and this is when Justin, remember you made that video with Chris, the really lovely fellow who passed away, Chris Laverty.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, I did like what was it? It was an Oscar breakfast with Chris Laverty. This is just before he passed away. And I said, Chris, listen, my husband brought me a teapot down, but what he did is he put the tea bags in the teapot and then he added the milk to the teapot. And Chris was completely horrified.
Yeah, there's a whole
he was like, oh my God, Heidi. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. That's really, really tacky.
I feel like that's a thing, though.
Farhan,
anybody that
you are not going to think very well of me for that.
Well, he left there when he was 2. I doubt he maintained a load of customs from his native country there.
Farhan, how do you make your tea then? How do you make it?
Well,
you put a bag in a cup.
Well, yeah, we put a bag and we boil it with water, obviously, and then. Because not obviously, apparently, according to TikTok a few years ago. But anyway, so yeah, we boil the water, we put that in, and then once that is steeped for about like 3 minutes, then you put milk in and sugar, and you're done.
Yeah.
Do you do it in a pot though, or do you do it in a cup?
A kettle.
So you put the tea bags in
you
the
put it
cup,
in-
and
Yeah, we put it in the mug. I put the tea bag in
oh,
the mug.
you put the tea bags
Turn on
in
the
the cup.
kettle.
Okay, in the
Do
mug.
you drink
Or-
it and then you enjoy it? Do you
Okay.
do that?
Yeah.
Good.
And
Good.
do you
Yeah,
do
of
you
course.
now
I
do
wouldn't
you
drink it twice a day.
Do
if
you
I
drink
didn't.
red rose tea?
No, I need to branch out in my tea drinking.
No, I'm
But-
teasing you. Red
What
rose
you
is like an
drink and how
old
you
Canadian
prepare it, yeah,
brand.
like that. It's
Yeah.
I'm so sick of people identifying themselves by the way they make tea or eat their pizza. It's all bullshit. Just be yourself. You know what I mean? Like it's nonsense. It's all, oh, I drink tea like this. Do you enjoy it? That's all that matters.
Also, I'm sure people, like, or I'm okay being like this big screen, but then I don't know if everybody else loves that. So
Oh, here, I'll move it.
okay.
Am I making you uncomfortable?
No. It's just that
So
I
if I do
wasn't
that
like.
again, will you be upset?
No, it's fine.
no, he's
It's
made a
just
lot of
that I'm
bold.
not-
No, hold on.
I'm just
he's made a
messing
lot of
with you.
bold. He's made a lot of bold statements about tea here. So let's keep him in the hot seat. I mean, you've said a
Okay,
whole lot.
so Luna has a question. She's asking, what skill do you have that you believe would be valuable in an apocalypse? First of all, I just want to say I'd be the first one dead. Okay, I'm always like, I'd be the first one off the island. I would be, like I said, I'd be kind of like Tess, just do something super stupid, and I would be gone. So I don't know that I have any skills. I have sewing skills. Maybe that would help.
I've seen a lot of violence, unfortunately.
I'm not going to say I have any skills, but I do have mostly gaming supplies. But I have a sword there, and I have another one in the other room, Aragorn's.
Yep.
And I've got.
So you'd be like Michonne
Bilbo's.
with the katana.
Yeah. I would take the Yamato from Devil May Cry, and
Yep.
He's
yeah,
dead
I mean,
in 4
it's-
hours.
yeah.
With you, yeah, that's how you get dead in 4 hours. Yeah, no, yeah.
I would be gone.
Yeah, I don't think I'd last
I'd
that
be
long
doing the
because I'd
murder
cut some
suicide of
deals.
my
But
family.
yeah, I'm not averse to violence, and I've been in a lot of violence. Like I wouldn't get squeamish right away, but I'd probably get axed because it would happen. Yeah,
if it counts to anything, I mean, I play a lot of survival horror games, so I've played Dead Space a number of times and Resident Evil a number of times, so maybe no.
Well, sure, great. I'm not saying we'll both be dead.
No,
It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Farhan, because I'm watching this show Alice in Borderland, which is a manga, and the guy, the protagonist in the show, is a gamer, and because he's a gamer, he's amazing in this sort of like alternative reality.
Oh, okay, yeah, because if there's athletics or anything involved, he's fucked. But
it's actually problem. Well, they've actually. It's funny because even though they, adults or whatever, people in positions of power always are worried about young people playing video games and everything. There is actually skills that you develop from it.
No, there are
hand-eye coordination skills and problem-solving skills and that kind of thing.
You can go drone people, and that is effective in our military. But if you're just trying to be out there, I think that like right away, like I'm in North Carolina right now, and I'm in a military neighborhood, and I'm not military. I'm from the North. The first thing I would have to do is get out of here because they would not group with me. You know what I mean? Like you got to be aware of like who you're with,
also,
and like, who would accept you.
Like to bring up the point that we mentioned like way earlier in the stream, we'd hoard as like a shit ton.
Oh yeah, I'd keep all your swords. I know they're stupid to have, but I love them. I have swords too, so I'm with you. You know what I mean? Like I'm right there. We'll die using our swords.
You know what I would do? This is one thing I always talk about in zombie apocalypses. I'm like, why don't people go up north? Like, have you ever seen a frozen zombie run after you?
Heidi, there's dying in the apocalypse, and then there's living in Canada. And I'm sorry, but I take option
so that's what
one.
that was what would be my skill. My skill would be living in the north, and I have friends up in Nunavut, and I would just head up that way. I would just
fucking
get in
wild.
a car.
I've seen frozen zombies in.
But do they move?
Sort of. At a point, yeah.
And also, does a kind of fungus flourish in minus 50 to below?
I don't even think the fungus would take notice. I don't think it's you're bragging a little bit. Like I don't think they'd even care. They're nah, we're not going up there. You guys be fine.
No, yeah. But even in this show, they're gonna have they're gonna go through the seasons, so we'll see winter and it will be.
Okay.
But yeah, you see them in games like Dead Space 3 and Resident Evil Village as well.
Okay, I'm going to ask you guys to just take over for a few minutes. I'll be right back. Is that okay?
Well, yeah, I got a question right here. Gamers have strategy skills. Now, I play a lot of games. That's all I do. I was a boxer. I was physically fit. I am not anymore. So like I'm on the other side and I can speak for what I am now. And it is useless because like that's all hoarding things, inventory management, like all these like skill sets. Like, but yeah, like, and it's just like it's like somebody that does karate, like that thinks they fight. It's like, okay, hypothetically, they think they know what they're doing. But when shit really goes down, they're out of shape. They can't run. If I'm in the woods for more than an hour, like, or more than a day, let's be realistic, I'm fucked. Like, what am I going to do? Like, I think I could like cleanse water with a sock. Maybe. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I
there's all
don't
these things.
do
Yeah.
camping. Like, I don't leave the house, okay, unless I'm going to get mail, and even then, I'm like, oh wow, it was adventurous today.
Yeah, the people that would survive would be people that would like actually go hiking on a regular basis. Would have, would be. I don't hunt, so oh my god, what am I going to do for food? That's why I'm dead because I'll live for like a few weeks because I'm shady enough to like probably rob and kill some people. To be clear, you know what I mean in the afterlife. But then like. And after
gamers are well equipped for the pandemic we went through, but not the pandemic.
Exactly, for killing time. yeah.
It's so like, nice. You get to stay home, and like everyone is complaining. I'm like, this is what I do all the time. It's
same as me. Yeah, I flourished. My business flourished too. Everybody had to be on my time. I'm like, okay, good. I'm like, everybody's down to reality. Yeah. So yeah, it's I don't know. I'm not a hunter, so it's like and if I did shoot something, I bet I wouldn't clean it right. I'd probably get sick. Like I don't have any of these skills. Like in a game, it's like skin deer, gut gear. Like in like DayZ. I played that's a pretty realistic survival game. I played that with my brother for like 2 days. Like we were driving across the country. He fell from a water tower. I died because I ate some human meat and got sick. You know what I mean? Like it's like you die from bullshit. Even in these games, people, I die from like stupid. I died from Oregon Trail. Go play the Oregon Trail and see how quick you die from dysentery or forging across the river. It's like I can't get enough of it. But yeah, I mean it's not useless, but I would say it's almost useless.
And even when you're like picking up supplies and stuff, like in Last of Us, it's like you just have Joel, he's just crouching and he's like,
oh yeah, we know how to click buttons quickly and hotkeys. It's like, oh man, like I play Call of Duty with my mouse and keyboard because I'm fucking slick. You know what I mean? It's like, how am I with a real gun? It's too loud.
And then obviously in these games, it's like there's massive convenience as well. Like they'll just like the supplies are just the exact things that you need, or in the other Naughty Dog games, Uncharted, like that's kind of started like when you climb and have those handholds that are painted yellow and stuff.
Oh yeah,
it's like oh wow, how convenient.
Yeah, and let's say we know where to grab. Do we have the strength? That type of grip strength to climb things? No. Are you crazy? You're crazy if you think you do. If you think you have those, and you'd be right now at some climbing wall or running a triathlon or doing something other than this. And that's all a waste of time anyways. But yeah, they what was it? I think the only way to go for me would be, because I am quite persuasive, I would say, and I'm willing to get my hands. So I'd be the guy that gets like off. I'm like the villain in the first season of a show that gets off. Like you got to get the strong people to like do stuff for you, right? Like you got to identify that and then give them something, which I could offer them, advice, and things like that. And I could organize.
Bye, Chadwick.
Things. But at the end of the day, like somebody's going to come in and fucking get rid of you. And that's going to be the end of it. yeah. So it's not going to be a good journey. And if I had to be in the woods for more than a day, then just consider me dead. Just consider me dead.
Also, I wear like headphones 24/7, so I'd probably be playing, and then suddenly I wouldn't even expect it. Done.
Oh yeah. Yeah, what are you gonna do with this huge 225-pound man comes at you that's been doing nothing but wrestling and grappling his whole life? You know what I mean? We're fucked. I box, but I'm still fucked.
No, but I mean, like the moment that the pandemic drops or it starts, I won't even be aware of it because I'll be busy.
Oh, ill prepared,
completely ill prepared, and then somebody comes down, just waddles, and I don't even notice, and like going rah, right, and then like I'm just like and then suddenly I'm dead.
Yeah, that's a good point. So we'd be like Nick Offerman's character, but we wouldn't be monitoring the situation. We'd be playing like Skyrim or like Warzone or whatever we're playing. Like, like we'd be doing whatever we're doing. I'd be making music. Yeah.
If you play a ton of zombie games like I do, that's just a normal, it's become white noise to me. So it's not going to be like, if I actually hear it, it's just going to be like, oh, it's just the game that I'm playing.
Oh yeah, you're desensitized in the
Yeah.
worst type of way. You know,
Yeah.
you don't have rational fear, which
No.
is like a big thing with Justin Thomas. You might figure another way to other than climbing. I might. I'm not saying I wouldn't be. I'm willing to get my hands dirty, and I have experienced, unfortunately, like I said, a good amount of physical violence throughout my life. Unfortunately, in my younger years. So like, I'm not squeamish, but I don't think that I would do well. I think I'd be like a halfway leader. I'd be like, hey guys, let's all get together. I'd have some good points. A year later, somebody probably kill me. Done. It's over.
But so I was going to touch on, I wanted to touch on a couple of other things. One was like in the episode 3, there's a scene where Ellie, she looks at basically like a ditch where they've, tossed or taken all the body. Actually, they've probably taken them and like done some kind of firing
Yeah, the
squad.
skeleton. Yeah, they've done a Justin move. They've killed all the people. They don't have. That's what I'm talking
Yeah,
about. Yeah,
and then they kind of go back, and then there's a scene with a woman with her baby wrapped up in a blanket, and then that's the same blanket from that scene. So what has caused the governments to turn into like a police state? Is it just how fast the virus or the fungus is, like how quickly it's just taken over? Like, do we know what percentage of the population it is? Like,
it was only 3 days. What is
so
the
it happens all in 3 days.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was. It happened on a Friday, and the world was fucked on Monday. They said, and what is the old saying that you're a you're like you're a conspiracy theorist, but in like 2 weeks after apocalypse, something like I'm metaphrasing, paraphrasing here, but it's like you're a survivor, actually. You know what I mean? Like, so people that really think it's gonna happen, it only took like 3 days for the world to fall. So
Yeah.
they're not leaving things untied. They're not allowing for more variables. If they don't have room for people, which they don't, people that are dead can't get sick and spread. So they're killing.
Yeah.
So you're very, when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. When you're in the military, you got guns. Same deal.
Yeah, I don't know if it was. I'm assuming they brought in the military. That's what
Yeah.
I sort of imagined.
It's a government, so yeah,
It's the government. Yeah. It's just so like awful, especially because they show a baby, right?
Yeah, it is that you're talking about that. I think you said it. That is the connection. That fabric is the same fabric we see in 2003.
The baby was swaddled in a
Yep.
blanket, and then they show the blanket on the ground, and because Nick Offerman's character is comparing it to the Nazis, and it's a police state, but it's because they have to in a way, right? It's like either everyone dies or we save some people, right? I think that's sort of what it is. It's sort of a necessary evil.
Yeah. Well, what do you do, Farhan?
What
What
do
do
you
you
do?
do? What do you do in this situation? So the situation is you have enough space in quarantine zones to have a feasible, reasonable society, meaning you can feed them, keep other people out, and other people, like probably the other 60% of the population, you can't. So what do you do with them? Do you let them roam? Like, what do you, like, if you're in charge? Not what do you do ethically? What do you do if you're in charge and you need to make a decision?
I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, I'd probably do the same thing.
Killing's the only actual answer.
Yeah, because like, it's just going to add more, and you don't want to add to like the tons that there already are. So I mean, that kind of makes sense.
Like,
but
that
I'm
little
not
boy
equipped to make that kind of decision anyway. So
yeah,
you'd have to.
Well, I would be one of the dead already. Like this is sort of how I imagine it. I would probably, if I was able to, I'd get to a pharmacy and steal their narcotics.
Oh, and yeah, same with, we're on the same path here.
And then I basically would do a murder-suicide with my family.
You're going to have to do murder at that pharmacy because you're going to be messing with some crackheads.
I would.
We'll get them.
And actually, it's funny though, because when I was at the pharmacy recently, there's a sign that says we have limited narcotics, but they're in a safe.
Yeah, no, they had to put that up because everybody was robbing fracking.
So I would be like trying to break into the safe to get the narcotics.
Everybody kept getting held up for Oxycontin, so they had to start putting that.
Yeah. So that would suck. Although I'd probably be able to take, I don't know, I'd probably be able to find something like maybe Sudafed. I'd take enough Sudafed. Maybe that would kill me.
Heidi, let me let you know that Sudafed would be taken already. The Sudafedrin would be taken by a large proportion of the society.
Like, for instance, when I saw Frank, like, the episode with Frank, I said to Jack, oh, well, I mean, Frank should just kill himself too. Like, he should just go with him. Like, why wouldn't you? Like, that would make the most sense. Like, they're life partners. They've had 20 years together. And that just makes the most sense to me, that they would go together.
It does. I'd be worried
So
of
and
my
then he did, and
past,
then
and
you saw he put it in the wine bottle as
yeah. It's
well,
like, how
right?
much do you need to take if you've had a bad
Well, that
past?
was my only
Yeah,
concern.
yeah.
My only
It's like-
concern was what if he, because the concern would be what if they shared it and there wasn't enough to go to Frank, right?
and they
And
just
then
experienced kidney failure and like,
exactly.
died terribly. Yeah, I think that when people ask who would you pick, it's again like, so if you're the government, you're only able to, and this is back to, you have to realize that they think that there's a possibility, because we all think that things will be resolved, right? So
Mhm.
like at this point too, the mindset can't be 20 years down the line. It has to be, this will be contained because things will go back to how they are normal, which by the way, humans, if you 13 down to and condense it to a day, we've been alive on this earth's been around for a blink of an eye, essentially. So we are
Yeah.
actually the exception to the rule, and things will take back over, unfortunately, and it won't be in our favor. But we would think things go back to what we consider normal, so we would justify these things. And people in power, like Farhan said, I couldn't make that decision. It would be very hard to make. That's why you make it at a top level, and you don't really ask like
Well,
who they're
you're
killing.
assuming that like
Yeah.
top officials are in bunkers and
Oh
they
yeah,
have
they would. Yeah.
I don't know. They probably have some. Oh, by the way, this is one thing I was going to say. I said this to Jack. One thing I noticed they don't do is I probably would like smother myself with like Caniston or something. Like I would go out and get some, jock itch, yeast infection cream, just cover myself with it. I would. There must be something that I mean. Do they ever talk about? Is anything ever touched on in
well,
in the
then you're gonna
game where,
get killed for just doing that, though. You know what I mean? They're not gonna put up with that shit. They're gonna be like, well, I don't know what this is inappropriate.
well,
You know?
I'm thinking like, I mean, okay, so at this
I
point,
don't think you can get rid of it with Bengay. I don't know. I don't think that
well, no,
works.
not Bengay. I'm talking about an antifungal, like
Yeah, in Last of Us Part 3, they're gonna have a mini game where you just cover yourself all with that's the
Cover yourself in Vagisil, you'll be okay.
Well, in The Walking Dead, at one point they basically take cardboard boxes and then they duct tape it to themselves. Like they just wrap it. They just like put cardboard around themselves and then duct tape it. And I was like, dudes, why don't you go get some like football gear or something,
They got
or
riot
a Kevlar
gear.
suit, or from a police
Well,
station? Why are you making these
in this
bullshit
game,
cardboard?
like
People suck.
Joel will get like shot to the point like where you would think that you'd have like gaping holes right through him, but then he'll just wrap a bandage over his arm and suddenly he's better. He's good.
Yeah, that's video game survival, just so you guys know. That's all the things you're hinging on. Your survival.
Warriors.
You're like, I hit X, I hit square. Why am I not healed? Oh, a good point that I liked in this episode was when Joel
the other thing is I would like, the other thing is, I don't know if they do this in the game, but I would have flamethrowers. Like flamethrowers would be so good with that stupid fungus.
Yeah, but flamethrowers are terrible. Like people shoot the tank. Like every guy that's like convinced to be a flamethrower guy in World War II didn't come home, unfortunately. Usually, yeah. But I mean, the Nick Offerman.
Have you seen Fahrenheit 451? They have like a whole like fire truck that can burn the books. So they can like come up with a rig where they could burn all the fungus.
It's impossible not to be a bomb when you're that. You know what I mean?
I'm trying to come up with some strategies here, Justin, and you're really
Vagisil, flamethrowers. None of this is. I mean, I'm hearing
Vagisil.
I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you, and I respect your ideas. And I'm thinking we come back.
No, jock itch cream. Come on.
Okay, whatever. I don't know what that is. But yeah,
or they could have canisters of foot fungus spray.
I don't think that this is a topical cream answer. I don't think topical cream is the answer to this. Like this is like
wouldn't it be funny though if they did spray it and it kind of recoiled a bit?
I'm sure they tried. Cool. I mean, people tried to drink bleach with like COVID. You know what I mean? I'm sure people are doing stupid shit. But I did like the fact that
Silver Scale's calling us flamethrower Vaseline warriors.
Yeah, like who's that guy that's all slicked up in a fucking with a?
So this is what happens when I stop my dry January.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, so my point is that Joel says in this, he talks to Ellie. He has a scar, and she says, "What happened?" He goes, "Somebody shot at me," and she's like, "Oh, they missed it. Oh, they're a shitty shot. What'd you do? Did you shoot back?" He's like, "Yeah, I shot back. I missed too. It happens more than you think." That's what me and Farhan are talking about.
Yeah,
like, it's like, yeah, there'd be a lot of incompetency happening. It's not all a freaking movie.
Well, actually, Carl, like maple sugar is actually, if you cook it, it's it could kill you. It could probably.
No. Heidi,
maple sugar?
No, maple syrup will cure cancer.
Will it?
Yes.
Maple syrup apparently is a lot of people use it for all kinds of ailments.
Yes,
They put it on.
It's
They put it on wounds.
holistic medicine, and I'm very
Anyway,
for it.
I'm just like I'm waiting for the scene, like kind of in Starship Troopers where they have like, they have like. Well, actually, don't they have a zombie in a lab at one point? I'd be like, let's try this, boys. Like I'd be, I'd be trying like all the different
Troopers. It's not going well. You know what I mean? Like
Starship Troopers. Let's try this, boys.
Yeah.
We're gonna, try some different types of techniques and see what happens. And like if the
handsome guy's
kind of
name?
recoils and screams or something.
What is the lead man's name? He's 5'2". But he's very handsome.
Crispin Van.
Yeah, something very Germany.
Yeah, Crispin.
Crispin. Yeah,
Crispin. I love him. You don't like him?
Oh, I love.
Listen, I'm going to do a Starship Troopers video, Justin.
I'm sure he's very good. Acting chops aren't that great.
What's that?
It's a ridiculous film.
It's supposed to be. It's a satire.
No, I know. That's what you say
Actually,
after you make something stupid, and you're like,
I watched a really great video on how, like, talking about how actually the bugs are the good guys.
Well, when you got Gary Busey's
you're like,
son,
you know what? This kind of makes sense.
Yeah, Gary Busey's son. I'm not much of an advocate for him.
Gary Busey's son, isn't it? I know.
Yeah, it's spawn of Busey.
And no, I actually love that movie.
I've never seen it. The only I've seen like one clip with Seth Gilliam from The Walking Dead, but that's about it.
Well, you know who's in it? Doogie Howser's in it.
Yeah. Oh. And then the girl that played what's her name in
The Hot Girl
is in it. Yeah, she's in it.
She used to be in like, what is she in? She was sort of like that real hot girl at the time.
Yeah,
she's married to Charlie Sheen.
Oh, that's never great. But speaking about viruses, and but they what was it? What's the film? Oh, there's a good YouTube video about how Daniel's the bad guy in Karate Kid as well. That's quite persuasive.
Yeah.
Denise Richards, is that who you meant?
No, that's one of them though. That she's one of the 90s.
Dina Meyer.
Yeah. Oh, she's in it. She is in that. I forgot she's in it. She's not even the hottest woman in it. Yeah. No, it's a ridiculous film.
I mean, everyone in. And Michael Ironside's in it. And Michael Ironside is a Canadian actor. He's
has to be a fake name, right?
No, it's his real name, and he's also in what's that Arnold Schwarzenegger movie? Where
Commando?
He's like, oh yeah, Denise Richards. Thank you. Consider that a device.
No. I'm gonna give you the name of this girl. It's the blonde though. Is actually Denise plays the uptight girl in it. Actually, she plays
the one who goes to flight school and
she's all pilot. Yeah, she's all tightened up. Yeah,
she's all uptight. But the girl with the curly hair, the one who's topless in the showers.
Yep.
They have co-ed showers. But she's in love with in love with the main character.
Kelly Carlson
for Neil Patrick Harris.
Harris, and he's like Neil Patrick Harris is like dressed up like a Nazi.
And
it's Paul Verhoeven
and Clancy Brown, who plays he's in a lot of Star Wars and stuff, but he's known for Mr. Krabs. And Kelly Norris. From Breaking Bad.
Oh yeah.
This is a great idea. I think what we could do is we could pour on the infected. We could flood them with maple syrup, and then set it on fire.
Well, how about maple syrup and good vibes? I think that'll work.
There.
Because it's maple sugar. It burns. It burns. It's like it would be a very good weapon.
No, good vibes are going to cure them. There's no
good vibes. Yeah. I'm sending everybody good vibes right now, just so you know.
You are.
Yeah, had a blast at the funeral. Sending good vibes.
So okay, before we, I don't want to forget. Let's talk about Pedro Pascal. By the way, is Pedro Pascal not the coolest guy? Like I was saying to Jack the other day, Pedro Pascal is the type of person that you would want to hang out with. Like
he might raise your kid, so that'd be good.
What's that?
You might raise your kid, so that's good.
He might raise your kid.
Yeah, Mandalorian. This he's,
yes.
It's tight. Yeah. It's
By the way, do you know this is a bit of gossip, but apparently this was a story that apparently Lena Headey had an affair with him.
Yeah, no, she wouldn't be in the same. No, that was Braun.
But she apparently she had an affair with Pedro Pascal. And then the baby, apparently she was pregnant already, but apparently I thought that they had a baby together.
Uh-huh.
Is that true?
I don't
But I
know.
could. But I mean, he is so smoking hot. Okay, the other thing I want to say is I posted this on Twitter. There's this really great video where Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey are interviewing each other.
Mhm.
And one of the questions she asked is, if you could take one item from the Game of Thrones universe and bring it to The Last of Us, what would it be? And he said it would have been his cloak that he wore in Game of Thrones. And she said she would have brought her armor. And I thought that was so cool. And he was like, I would just wear it and go swoosh, swoosh, swoosh.
Yeah, her armor actually protects. He's just bringing a bathrobe. You know what I mean? Like, which
He
it
said
looks
the
good.
reason why, though, he said is because he looked fucking amazing.
He did. He looked very young.
But
He
you
never
know,
looked
he's
young
he's a
again.
lot slimmer than too. He's probably put on about 40 pounds.
Yeah,
I
even
think.
Yeah.
when his head was completely crushed, he still looked great.
Yeah.
What's that?
Narcos, he's still
He said,
fairly
I
fit.
said, even when his head was completely crushed, he still looked great.
He did. He had
But he got the
thumbs
sweet
put
role of the
through.
Mandalorian where he just has to voice act. I think he's gotten a little bit complacent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, he was hot as Oberyn. But that was my first time I'd ever seen him. I hadn't seen Narcos, and then no, but
Narcos is after though. Narcos is actually after.
he is one of those people
He's
that when you see him
Sicilian.
in interviews, you're just like, I would like. Bella Ramsey apparently adores him. He's one of those people like you want to be around. And it was funny because I saw Jason, I can't remember his name, but he's in a new show called
Jason Sudeikis.
sorry, it's called where he's a therapist. It's on Apple TV with Harrison Ford.
Oh
and he
shit,
said
that's Jason Segel.
And apparently he was saying that he grew up thinking that nobody liked him and that he was completely unlikable. And he has one of those faces that is just like, so it's like they're kind of juxtaposed to each other. Like Pedro Pascal is one of those people like, oh my God, I just want to be around this person like all the time. Whereas Jason Segel is one of those people like, oh, you're so kind of sad and depressed. I don't want to be around you kind of thing. But I don't know what it is about him. He's amazing. And just, you know, I love him in The Mandalorian. I love him in this. Loved him obviously in I have to see that Nick Cage movie with him, which apparently is amazing. I've been waiting to see that. So what do you think about, yes, thank you, shrinking? Thank you.
Well, I could tell you what, there's not a country I could tell you less about than Chile. I don't know anything about it, and he's Chilean. I'm pretty sure that's
oh, sorry, Carl loves Cersei.
No,
Yeah.
Cersei, all I know, the only thing I know about her is that when she was working on Game of Thrones, she was in a divorce, and I saw that there was a request from her, and she needed money, and the amount of money that she was asking for to spend. Now I get it, it's in litigation, and I'm not downing on her, but it was kind of like her personal life, I think, could be a little bit hectic, it seemed. Because
she's a bit of a hot mess. Like I know she was pregnant during.
I'm not blaming her, and that's
season.
what happens. That's what happens in a divorce.
Yeah, I know she was pregnant in the first season because they had to work her costumes around her pregnancy, so that must have been with her ex. And then that's what I was saying. I think by season 3 or something.
She requested an emergency. Like you have to look it up, but I remember seeing it at the time that Game of Thrones was on, and I remember thinking, "What is she up now?" And I get it. Again, litigation. Like you're trying to get as much as you can. Like it is what it is. But like she was really requesting like this amount of money like quickly. Like it was like foregoing a few things. Like it was a little bit odd. So yeah, I think that she was a little bit I don't know who she was married to either. I don't know who that was.
I don't know. Like she apparently, her and Peter Dinklage were really close friends. Are really close friends.
Yeah, they're like best friends or something.
Yeah, and she recommended him to the show. And I'd seen her. You know, I'd seen her in a couple of things. She was in some pretty big shows. Like she was in that movie with the Brothers Grimsby or the Brothers Grimm. Sorry. And that was one of the first movies I think I remember her seeing.
She plays a lesbian in a movie that's pretty good. She plays she's like a florist. I don't remember. Yeah, it's actually a good movie. It's like a rom-com, and she is like the gay florist that becomes friends with the bride. That's like the plot right there. That's the only reason I bring it up, but it's pretty good actually. That's before Game of Thrones. Yeah, no, she's definitely got range. So I love some Lena Headey. And you want to know what? Get that money, girl. Divorce, anything goes.
So anyway, do you guys have anything else you want to say? Like, we agree that Pedro does a great job as Joel?
Yes.
I mean, I don't have anything to compare to. You do.
Yeah.
What else? Who else would you have cast?
I love Peter Dinklage.
I mean,
oh my God, I think he's so sexy. Totally.
When I first played the game, like my immediate thought was Hugh Jackman, but I feel like, I don't know if he would do it. But then you also have Logan, which is basically sort of inspired by the game anyway.
Yeah, dude, he played a muskrat for like 10 years. He would
yeah.
do this. Like, I think he would do this. What about Matthew McConaughey? What about him?
I don't know. I mean,
too on the nose. It's too on the nose.
No, but he's also. I mean, I guess he could do a serious role, but I don't really see him doing much of that.
Barry Pepper, maybe.
Oh, I like Barry Pepper.
Barry Pepper is.
Barry Pepper, I think would have been good.
Barry
He's
Pepper?
Canadian, I think.
Oh, god damn it! No, not him. No,
No
I'm joking.
Canadians. No Ryan
Barry,
Reynolds. No
he
Ryan
was.
Goslings.
He's a sniper and Band of Brothers. Or not Band. I mean, Saving Private Ryan. He's a sniper character. He's
I also like what's his name, Richard Armitage. He could do it, I think, as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I mean, there's other options. I think
there was a fan cast. I mean, obviously the most popular one was Hugh Jackman, and I guess Ellen Page, which technically because they did
interesting. Okay.
Because
interesting.
Or Elliot Page now, but
Elliot
at the time,
Page,
it was Ellen, and they actually sort of were. I think there was like a lawsuit as well because they used his likeness at the time, or there was something that there's something that went on there. But anyway, the most popular one was that. But then I think the second one was a lot of people were saying was Nikolai Coster-Waldau as Joel and Caitlin Dever as Ellie, which I think would have been pretty cool too.
That's interesting. Yeah, I saw.
She's in a few things. I haven't actually I've seen some clips, but I haven't actually seen the movies that she's in. Caitlin Dever, she's in I think Booksmart and Rosaline. I've never seen either of those, but
now so Luna's making a comment about Pedro's accent. Is he supposed to be Texan?
Yeah, he's from Texas.
See, I didn't even know that.
I think Pedro's a good because Joel is what you call a lunch pail blue collar guy, and which is very much so appealing to the general audience as well. Because what it takes to actually survive in the post apocalypse isn't our swords, which me and Farhan will still bring. We do not care. Go kiss my ass. We'll have them. It'll be pretty sweet. But no, it's going and grinding every day in this you see his jobs. Piling shoveling shit and stuff, going to work every day, keeping your head down, grinding it out. This is a blue collar lunch pail guy, packs his lunch, wakes up every morning, goes, we saw that already with him doing the double in his construction job, right? That's his choice. He's going to do that over celebrating his birthday. He's not a guy that's he's not and he's got the axe.
The only thing that I'm grinding out is my axe.
Dude, we've made it now 2 days. We got 48 hours. So I'm extending it just because we got the axe. I think a lot of people will be fearful of the sight of it. Until somebody takes it from us.
Drugstore after the apocalypse, I'm going to go over to Farhan's house and get some weapons.
You're not coming out of that drugstore without that axe. You need to go. Trust me. I've been to the pharmacy this week and there's a competition. You're not messing around there. But yeah.
Well, obviously Joel's skill set applies to he's lifting bodies and throwing them in dump trucks and stuff like that.
Well, he's able to he's not afraid of hard work and he's able to keep his nose down, and that's the working man's hero is what you would call that. That's the trope. It's the guy that is the blue collar, all they call it all American, but it's the everyman. And it's I pack a lunch every day. I go to work, and what does he do it for? He does it for his family, his own. Yeah, he does it for self-preservation, and that's how he keeps chaos out of his life through mundane deeds. You get what I mean? That's how he keeps chaos out, by grinding, and that's a very pragmatic and practical way to live that can be quite successful. Happy is another word, but successful meaning longevity, sticking around. Yes, very true. So I think that he's a perfect.
So who's Sarah? Luna's asking, what do you think?
So that was Sandy Newton's daughter. Her
name is Tandaway now.
Oh, whatever. Okay. Sandy Newton, that's her daughter. I thought she was very good. And she's different than who's casted in the game, meaning who's depicted in the game.
By the way,
she's also older
because I just finished the Chronicles of Riddick, and looking at Tandy Newton, but I was like, oh my god, that's got to be Tandy Newton's daughter right away. Knew it right away. Her
I didn't know it until you said it.
Yeah. I didn't make the connection until I saw an interview, and I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. She's also I really liked that casting as well, even though it was different and she was older, but that's kind of the point as well.
Yeah. And Luna, yes.
We don't see her mom, right?
No, she's never mentioned. That's
Is her
you know,
mom passed
yeah.
away, or is they just divorced? I can't
we
remember.
don't know.
she's
like,
either
We don't know.
terrible because she doesn't have any
Mhm.
visitation of her, or she's dead. So yeah,
Well,
she's
I
just not a
mean,
point.
okay. Well, in the game, we suspect that Joel is like, I mean, if you do the math, I think he's like around, because he's supposed to be in his, I think, late 40s, early 50s. So that
Yeah.
puts him in his late 20s, early 30s. So most probably around 28. And if Sarah is 12 in the game, that means that he had her really young, and so it could have, you know.
Well,
there's-
in the show, he's 36. He has his
Yeah.
36th
Yeah.
birthday, so
Right,
it might
yeah.
have been a teen pregnancy. Like,
Yeah.
Let's just say Joel's a pretty cool guy.
yeah.
That's
Hey,
what
Alicia. And then, yeah, so I get the impression he's a single dad. So whether she's taken off or
it's not a part of the life because
not a
she's
part of their life.
the
Yeah.
way she spends her other time is with the neighbors. It's just like
Mhm.
they are depicting. My brother's a project manager. My dad was a union carpenter.
Mhm.
I've worked. I fell off roofs. I've done
Oh,
concrete.
yes, they're divorced.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like his skill set, I think it's very appealing because
Mhm.
it is a survivalist skill set. It's a tough amount of work, meaning like you have to be physically fit, and it's day in and day out. You know what I mean? It's like war is
Well, it's
what
like,
boredom interrupted by chaos.
I don't know if you guys are Hunger Games fans,
I'm
but
aware of it.
like, so Katniss, she hunts, and then the other guy who's her love interest, he works in a bakery, but he throws bags of flour constantly.
Yeah. That made
So
him
he's
strong.
able to, he's physically fit. So I think he has to be fit. He has to be in good shape.
In real
And I
life, that
guess
guy would just be
his
fat,
brother,
and he would have a bad back because
yeah,
he
and
just
his
thrown a bunch of heavy flour.
his brother works with him, right? So,
Yeah.
what's his Tommy?
Well, yeah. Remember that
Oh,
time
thanks so much,
remember that
Luna.
time,
That's so
Farhan,
sweet of you.
when we met those enemies, but you had
Aw.
been tossing barrels of hay or whatever they're called,
Mhm.
and like that came in handy, and he was able to throw a rock at him in the same way. Like it's always a film. It's like, oh, they pick heavy stuff up, so they're able to do it. Yeah, I think Joel's more realistic. He's legitimately like a depiction of your everyman. I like the
Yeah.
invocation of the double that he chooses to work on his birthday. That's
I just want to say
working
thank
man.
you to Luna. She says, "Oh, Heidi, that Chronicles video you did was awesome. Thank you so much. Justin edited it for me. Did an amazing job."
I get $2.50
I
on
was
that
going
now.
to say, it
That's
sort of reminds me of the character in Westworld. We've got played by, from Breaking Bad. You have to help me with this, Justin.
Oh,
He's
you're
sort of
talking
an everyman too. He works, he's like a,
Oh, you're talking about Jesse. You're talking about what's his name?
yeah, he's a construction worker. He's sort of an everyman, and
In Westworld?
in Westworld, yeah,
it's
he's
not
from,
the best. Yeah,
he's Jesse from Breaking Bad.
Oh, you mean why is it slipping?
something P, something J. There's a J, and then there's a
J.
P.
No, it's Aaron Paul.
Aaron Paul. There's a Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's sort of it's a bit tropey. It's, to have the everyman.
Oh yeah, I forgot he was in
working
Westworld.
class character. But I think it's a very, accurate trope, because like Walter White, he's kind of like, again, he's like a chemist, but he was a chemist, but he's like a teacher, but he has a skill set. So you're like, what kind of skills would you need to be able to, to do these things that you're going to need to do? So the same that within The Walking Dead, you've got, Rick, who was a cop, right? So, he could handle himself pretty well. And then his colleague was also a cop, the one who ends up,
Shane, what you talking about? Yeah, it's like,
yeah,
what you doing, man? Well, Shane was
you
right.
have to give the protagonist some type of career that will lend to their skills that will be adaptable.
And look at being a builder. Being a builder is always like
Aaron
my brother
Paul.
worked.
Thanks.
Not my
what did
brother.
We say? We didn't say Aaron Paul. Did we?
No, but my brother never had a week off during the pandemic ever. He's a general contractor. He worked straight through. He was, because you always need building. So like not only is it a realistic job, meaning like it's a relatable job that people can like feel good about to connect with. That's why Joel's a great character. But it is something that during these dire times you would still need. Like he even tells Frank or Bill, sorry. He says the fence, you need galvanized. Like he knows things. Like he's able to keep shit up. Like he's able to
last it might last 5 more years or something. By the way, so Carl says he's never seen Breaking Bad. So should we tell him to get in the house? Get in the house, Carl.
Yeah, I mean,
I always do that because it's
Rick.
Walking Dead
Yeah.
reference.
In the house,
Carl, the one thing I always remember about Carl is, this is my favorite memory of Carl, is he gets a giant tub of pudding, like it's a giant, like an industrial can of pudding, and he just sits on the roof and eats it.
Yeah, I would be sick of it. Like, I think he said that he was sick as well by the time he was done, because like they just kept giving him cans and cans because they kept reshooting that scene over and over again, and he went through
But
the
if
whole
you're
thing.
starving and someone gives you a giant can of pudding,
Sure.
you'd be like, oh man, this is the best. It's sort of like, oh, by the way, that scene. So like when I'm watching, like, does anybody know what Bill's career was? Do we know what he did for a living?
No.
Because obviously he took some culinary classes. I'm assuming it's his mom's house, and he lived with his mom. He's never been married. He's never had a relationship. I don't even think with a woman or a man, right?
Well,
So
he was with a girl once, like he said, yeah.
But I think that means he slept with a girl once. I don't think that meant he was in a relationship.
Wow. We'd have to
I
see
didn't
what
get that
she said.
impression.
Yeah, no,
I
he
assuming
seems
it's
like
his-
quite the loner. Yeah, he seems like
he's in
quite
a
the loner.
house that was his mother's house.
Yes.
I think. He reminds me of my accountant, because my accountant lives in this really beautiful house in a nice area in Toronto. But when I go there, it's stayed exactly the way she decorated it. Like he hasn't changed it all these years, but he is married actually, which is sort of funny. But he's a total nerd. And the funny thing is, he's actually like a former rock star, like, which is really weird.
Oh,
But anyways,
you know what they say about those rock stars? They're always good with numbers.
It's really well. Now he's an accountant. He was a rock star, like back
weird.
in the 70s and 80s. Now he's an accountant. But yeah, it's his subverted expectations.
Yeah.
So
It's not about the money.
I kind of go. So did he go and take a culinary class?
This is my read on him. I think he's Ron Swanson. Okay, so he's obviously knows to go to the gas company because he's like a survivalist, not a doomsday prepper. So he has all these irrational fears that luckily become rational. It all turns up Millhouse for him that one weekend. But he's also been a loner, and he's not confident in who he is, you know what I mean? Like his sexuality. So he is not really flourished. So he has stayed inside for the most part, and he's stayed with his family. It seems like he's learned a lot from his mother, but he's also liked finer things and done. You don't need to go to culinary school to know like how to cook, because like the way he knows how to cook things he hunts too. So he has like a mixture of it all. So like he seems like an Italian son.
He's doing
I'm
gastronomy.
Italian. Yeah.
He's doing gastronomy level cooking.
Yeah,
he's not, no. Like when I was like, oh my God, he's doing like a au jus, like wine reduction thing there.
Well, what would you do with nothing but time? I guess. Well,
no, but he knew this even before, because when he had I remember when they showed him making that steak.
Yeah.
And it was like, he did it like medium rare. And then he did like, and he's paired it with like all these beautiful wines, and he knows wine. So, and this would have been before the internet, like before YouTube and stuff. It's not like he would be watching a YouTube video.
So he would have resources, but you're right. He did plate. He plates it correctly.
He played Jackie. Is that a charger? He even has charger plates.
Yeah, he's plating it properly. And what I think it is.
And even the way he carries the plates, I said to Jack, he put the plate down and he turned it so that the meat was facing Frank.
Yes.
That's something that you do in fine dining.
No, I know. Yeah, like that's what I'm saying.
He had the proper wine. Yes. So it made me think, did he own a restaurant? Like, I don't know.
Or maybe he just worked at one at some point.
Well, he knew not to warm the bottle. He knew to hold it correctly. Like I was a waiter. Like he knew all those things. So what I take from it is that because it's foreshadowed. He goes, oh, I know I don't seem like the type. So I just feel like that's him, and like wanting to live his other life that he was probably repressing, it seems, right? Like, and he was learning to do things. He liked nice things. He liked to do things, and he was his own man, but he also liked to go out and like learn how to turn on gas and build fences and flamethrowers and hunt and stuff like that. So like, nobody's simple. Nobody's this or that. You know what I mean? So like, definitely Heidi on a straightforward level. Do I think that would be possible without culinary, like, schooling? Probably not, right? But for the show,
I was saying because it's supposed to start in 2003, and then they don't have any internet or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking, if it was now, like if it happened now, I'd be like, okay, he's probably watched some YouTube videos, but they wouldn't have had a YouTube videos then.
He took the time to learn it, from somebody.
I said to Jack, he must have like either worked in a restaurant, or ran a restaurant or something.
Or what did his parents do? Because when they look at the
Or maybe
music, it's
his
brought
parents
up.
had a restaurant. Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like he says, this isn't you. When he looks at the certain music, he said, this is you. So like, what about his life is him? Meaning his cooking might be from his mother or his father.
Yeah.
He gets it from that's my point. Yeah.
By the way, so this is sort of funny. Like, so, when Frank goes into the bench and pulls out all the music books and everything. And I always knew people with that, like that was just something I remember from my childhood. Someone having a bench with a bunch of music books in it, like, which, people probably never do now. But it was funny because we pulled it out and I said to Jack, what does it say on that book? And I was like, I thought at first it said, what did I think it said? I thought it was like Leonard Bernstein. And I was like, wow, that would have been a totally different tone to the show. Like if he just started playing like Broadway music or something.
It probably
like it was Linda Ronstadt, I'm assuming it said on the outside of the book, but I was like, I couldn't read it. And I thought it said Leonard Bernstein, who was like a great, composer of musicals.
I don't know. I don't know if they explain what he was in the. I don't think they do, because if they do, it was probably in one of the text things that you read, which most of it I like. I read the first time and then I don't after that because I don't have an attention span like that.
Wolf.
But I feel like if he did learn from YouTube, it would be possible, at least in the game, because it takes place in 2013. And I remember Neil Druckmann, the director of the game and who works on the show as well, the creator, mentioned that in The Last of Us Part 2, when Joel plays a particular song, they ask, they pay attention to so much detail, because a lot of fans ask, like, oh, well, this song that he's playing, that came out that year, and it came out after the outbreak. And then Neil clarified and said, actually, the music video went up on YouTube a few months prior to the outbreak. So Joel actually went on YouTube and watched that and learned the song from there.
Yeah, and I always think that it's interesting that, they say you should never psychoanalyze like story, like meaning like the characters within it, like in a real world. But it is always interesting to see. That's why I do support the choice to make this the type of relationship it was, because it makes so much sense for him to be able to flourish. This is not somebody that just lived a life, but he was, unfortunately, very much so. It didn't seem like comfortable. Right, like with who he was, and he was able then, when the world ended, to start his life. And I think that there's some beauty in that, because there's a metaphor in that, meaning like, go live your life, man. The fuck are you waiting for? Right? Don't wait for the world to end. Go do it. And I think that he's a complex dude. He knows how to turn on the gas. He knows how to build fences. You know what I mean? It's like I think that's
he's
good.
Kind of like to me.
Yeah, it's good representation.
Like, to me, he's kind of the perfect man. To me,
well, yeah. Well,
I have to say that I kind of imagine my husband Jack being kind of like that. Like Jack,
is
my
Jack
husband,
watching this live stream right now?
He's not. He's not like a macho dude. He's not like like he doesn't work out and stuff like that. But he is super capable. That's kind of how I see Bill. Bill is super capable.
Yes.
And has really good skills, and that he's somehow developed. Like
he doesn't skip a beat.
Red Wolf is here. If there was a zombie apocalypse, I think Red Wolf would be in very good shape, because he's got a good arsenal of weapons.
Unfortunately, they're all swords
he
again.
Has a katana.
Can I just hammer down?
And a pole axe. And Farhan, you have a pole axe. So is there?
Yeah. Okay. All of us are so fucked. Can I just keep reiterating that, because we're gonna get shot? Like all of our weapons that I have, Farhan has, everybody has, are moot points. We're all screwed.
Well, those two weapons, the Zelda one and the axe, are actually foam, so they're not going to do shit.
Wow, that's even worse.
Yeah, but the katana, the Yamato from Devil May Cry, that is a real sword, and so one of the other.
We should have got a shotgun. Would have been recruited, but none of us did. Like that's the easiest gun to shoot. Just aim. Yeah, but we got swords.
Oh yeah,
but they're not as cool to display.
Red Wolf.
No, they're not. You look
Red
like
Wolf. We were talking earlier about what skills would we have that we'd be able to, if there was an apocalypse, and I'd be basically dead. I would go to the pharmacy and get a bunch of drugs and kill my family.
I think that she
So,
doesn't
yeah,
understand
sorry,
that she
Jack.
wouldn't make it out of the pharmacy. Like she would be
Yeah, I
killed
wouldn't make it out of the
instantly.
pharmacy.
Yeah, but I know he's
Well,
training firearms.
there's a
So
really
yeah.
funny scene back to Station 11. I know one person in the chat has seen it. In Station 11, there's this really funny scene where they basically go to the grocery store and they just fill up like 3 carts full of food and stuff.
Mhm.
And and there's no one in the grocery store except for this one cashier. And the cashier says, "Should I like go home or something?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, you probably should." And then they basically just take these carts of groceries and then go to his brother's apartment and lock themselves in there for months and months and months.
Yeah, you got to
So,
make up a job is what you do. You got to make up something that you do. Like you have to like be like, I'm the guy for this, or I'm the gal for this, like whatever it is. Like you need to make yourself important right away. That's about it. And then when people find out you're lying, you're probably dead. But you might have
well, I
and then
mean, Bill
Farhan and me
had
phone
the
axes
number,
and
like
swords
he
and
kind of
have a
knew the
final go
number.
out.
Like, you guys were saying, if this was a real world situation, what would I do? I would probably do exactly what the military, the state did. So
With the
Bill knew
information,
that. He had that understanding of what would happen. And he's like he said, he's not a prepper, he's a survivalist. So he knew that this is what they probably would do. And he handled it completely correctly, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I would crush up some narcotics like they did in the movie and then in the show, and then that would go in my box of wine.
It was when not being an optimist
Choo
like
choo.
like he's a pessimist, right? Like so he knows like because it's like okay, so you have one end that like like you have one end of the people that like know the government has lied in the past, and it's just like saying a YouTube video lied to you about like getting taller like by stretching, and then all you do is yell about how like they don't have your best interests like in, so it's like a child's like behavior, but it ends up paying out, right? Because like he's like because these greater powers don't always have your best interests. That is true. That is true, and it ended up paying out for him because he did the right thing though. He was able to actually like obtain skills because he knew exactly what to do. Like to turn out, I wouldn't know where to go. Like that's what I was wondering. Like Farhan, when you saw him turn the wheel, I'm like, do you like if you saw me there, like I have no clue what wheel. I don't even know where it's at. Like, but what wheel do I turn to get
I
my
was going to
gas
talk
on?
about the preppers thing that Red Wolf is talking about. So I don't know if you guys remember, Farhan, you're probably too young. Remember during Y2K, like, there's this whole
Yeah, we lived through some shit,
idea
bro.
that when we hit 2000, that Y2K would happen because
Planes
the
would fall from
computers
the
wouldn't
sky.
understand. Yeah, planes would fall out of the sky, all this
Your
kind of thing.
bank account
So
would be
my parents like basically made their home into like like a stockpile. Like they stockpiled, they got a generator, they did all the
Yep.
prepper stuff. So I was like, okay, so if planes start falling out of the sky, I'm going to my parents' house because that's what they
Yeah.
basically had everything ready to go. They had a full basement full of everything you can imagine.
Did they have that bladder thing, Heidi? That thing you hook up to your tub and you can fill it. You take all your water that's in your tank and you can fill up a bladder. They sell them.
I don't know. Well, they had like everything you could possibly imagine. It was crazy. And then in the end, nothing happened. And the reason why that they did it is because my stepmother worked for a major bank in Canada, and she was one of the people who worked on the Y2K project. So she was like, she didn't feel confident that it was going to happen, that it was going to be
That's
solved.
always the word. Yeah, because like the closest people to it are like, shit. It's
So
like
she's like,
yeah.
shit's going to happen, everyone. So she had everything ready to go. She's like, freaking my father out. So I said to Jack, yeah, if Y2K happens, we're going over there.
Well,
did.
Yeah, like a few like banks in Australia showed their own time, I think was the outcome. Like a few like things happened. But in that case, if something does happen, the people that were like, skeptical of the whole situation, they really win. You know what I mean? Because like everybody laughs them off, but it's like it's that situation where it does go bad that it does pay off. So yeah, but yeah, he had all the skills, and we're not sure where Frank came from, right? Like where he came from exactly.
Yeah, he was on his way to Boston.
Yeah, like to see a Brewers game.
This is funny. This is what always happens to me when I'm watching scenes like this. I keep thinking, oh my God, he's gonna kill him. I kept thinking throughout the entire episode, even like when they had a love affair. I kept thinking, okay, that's it. Frank's doomed.
Yeah, but when they did have sex, I did think off the top of my head that if I was in that situation, that would be the first thing I would do is make myself useful. Like honestly, like hate to be like that, but like honestly, that's a little suspicious that they get sex so quick. Like, if you're trying to get in, that might be the best way to get in. Am I wrong?
Well, I did think that. I did think that Frank was using
Sex as a tool to,
Bill's
yeah.
vulnerability, Bill's loneliness.
He said he's not a whore. I'm like, that's not what whores say. I'm like, that's exactly
Yeah,
what whores
exactly.
say.
If you were a
Yeah.
whore, you wouldn't have said that.
Yeah, that's
If
something.
you weren't
Yeah.
a whore, you wouldn't have said that. I'm not a
Yeah,
whore.
I'm not a whore. I said the what?
I
Yeah.
think that I did think it's funny. He's a little bit like Murray in White Lotus.
I've never seen it,
So
but yeah.
I did think that he was in a way playing Bill
Of
a
course he
little
was.
bit.
I think,
I
and I think
totally
one,
would have done it.
and I think
I
that
would
that's
have done
so
it
fair.
if I
I
could
don't,
be like,
yeah.
I can eat and drink and live in a safe house and all that. I would be like, bitch, I'm gonna be your geisha for sure.
Yeah, that's a reality too, and I actually like that
Yeah.
type of storytelling because just because he uses his sexuality and uses sex as a a tool, right? Like
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that they couldn't fall in love because listen, the guy is like surviving literally. So it just so happens he runs across another person that is interested in the same type of sex he is, and he's able to use it. Okay, he uses it, but it doesn't mean he's incapable of like loving him later. You know what I mean?
Alicia, Alicia's commenting on something that I said like 20 minutes ago. Alicia, you have to refresh. We're like, we talked about the bison burgers so long ago. She's saying,
No, but it is like, but want to know what though? It's one of those
she's saying
facts
so
that
much
really
leaner and
stink.
healthier than cow beef.
Yeah.
Yes. But no, I was like, Frank, I'm in a hole. I am starving. I'm filthy. I haven't had a shower. I'd be like, dude, yeah, I'll become your sex slave. I don't care. Get me out of this hole and feed me.
Yeah.
Feed me a gourmet dinner.
And also go shower first, like you're a job.
Yeah,
like,
please
go
shower,
clean,
you
go
stink.
clean yourself. You have
Well,
to clean
when you're
yourself.
living by yourself, you're not thinking, I need to
Oh, was
bathe,
he really
right?
in a position to be making demands? Anyways, you know what I mean? Like
so.
it is what it is. Yeah, though it was interesting. I think it's realistic. I think it's realistic on the point of where he says he wasn't always happy. Now Farhan can speak on this. In the game, it seems like Frank kills himself because he hates Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's the reason, like, he got sick of him, which is also a reality.
So this is one of the few things that I remember from reading those, because like a lot of the storytelling and the lore happens when you pick up things in the game, right?
Mhm.
So there's a note left on, I think don't think it was a kitchen counter. It was somewhere in the house that you pick up on the table, and it's basically a note from Frank, and he's basically, from it you can tell that he has a sort of a disdain for Bill at this point. Like they were like Bill doesn't even like actually outright say that they were like partners in that way. He says he's my partner, so people can interpret that in other ways, although it's pretty clear that they were.
Ellie looks at their magazines and finds
and then they find that, so that pretty much clarifies it. But they don't say the word, right? So but in that they don't actually give too much into their relationship, but it does say that they had some sort of like falling out, and that he basically, because he got infected, in order to stop himself from getting infected or becoming one, he decided to hang himself.
Yeah. And I agree with the show. I think the show, because in the video game you just need a truck from Bill. In the show, you need to see the depiction of a happy life, a life well lived, a love that is commenced. So I think that it's the right way to go. I think that it's like you could have stayed true. That is the point of not staying true, where it's just like, because you can be a stickler for an adaptation, right? Stay true when it doesn't suit you. Mm-hmm. I don't think it would have suited them in this case. Like, what would have been the point? We just had Joel lose Tess. What would have been the point to show a guy that gives them a truck just lose somebody? Get what I mean? Like, there is storytelling optics. You need to see that there is happiness available here because of the decisions that are going to need to be made. No spoilers, but you need to show this. Yeah.
I have to ask you guys one question. This has been kind of bothering me. At the very last shot of the third episode, they show a window with the curtains blowing. And I know I saw a picture that apparently that is sort of an homage to the game, an open window with the, the curtains blowing. Wasn't that a second floor window?
Well, I believe that's the window where they're at, because they let the window open so it wouldn't smell. So that
yes.
window. Yeah.
But Frank wouldn't been able to get
Oh
upstairs.
yeah, okay, yeah, because he's in a wheelchair, he can't climb stairs. Yeah, you're right. Though.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
but
that is a
or,
valid point.
or
Yeah,
yeah, or he could have
especially
left multiple
doped out of his
windows
mind.
open, or maybe he did carry him upstairs for the last time. Who knows?
I thought
Well,
he
much
could have
oxy did they
potentially.
take,
I find
and
it
they
hard to
still-
believe
yeah.
he would have carried him though,
Yeah,
because they
but,
show them
yeah,
going to the back of the house, and I thought they were going to be like, because normally what
yeah.
happens?
Oh yeah, they did go to the back.
You
So I don't know.
move, yeah. So I did think I was like, what is going on with that window? Unless the house is higher up, like maybe.
Maybe
Anyway,
it's a weird
it
angle.
kind of
It
didn't
could
work
have
for
been.
me. I was like, what? I was like, why? Like I wish it had been like a more like realistic for me. There.
No,
Yeah.
I didn't count this. I thought it was fine. I took it as that. I didn't notice that aspect of it though. But
I mean, I
all I know is they
noticed
would have
it, but
pooped
then I guess like
themselves.
my subconscious sort of dismissed it and was like, maybe it's like also open upstairs or something, and it's just a better shot from there.
And I don't know why I was thinking this, but I was like, did they put on diapers first? Because that would have been prudent.
But I did immediately make that connection that
I immediately thought that too, Justin. That's terrible. I thought they're going to poop their pants.
Well, that's the first thing they would do is
you're going to poop their pants. And I have to say that actually, like when my father passed away, that's exactly what happened. He pooped his pants.
I've seen somebody OD and they pooped their pants right away,
Yeah.
and then they didn't even die. We got them back, but like, that's what they do right away.
Did obviously. I did make that connection though, like when of like the menu in the game. That's somewhat like that, or somewhat reminiscent.
Yeah,
of that.
It's the front door
menu,
though, Farhan, right?
Yeah,
like, that's what I always take it as.
Okay,
it's the
thanks,
front
Luna.
door of that house.
Luna says that he did carry him.
Well, I don't think it's of that house in the game. It's
well
elsewhere.
Oh, the dumbwaiter. That's a good point. Yeah, he might have had a dumbwaiter. Yeah, I mean, but
you know what? It's funny because dumbwaiters are like, what show did I just see where there's a dumbwaiter?
Upstairs, downstairs.
No, it wasn't. No, there was
Wednesday.
a show recently,
Wednesday.
a horror movie recently. Oh, I know what it was. Yeah, it was.
It was Wednesday,
oh
right?
What was it? It was a movie. It was
Or was it
yeah, there was a movie recently on Apple or HBO that had a dumbwaiter.
They did seem to, I hate to nitpick it, and now we've been drinking, but like they were so lucid for like the fact they just had supposedly ingested a lot of
I would have done it in bed.
Yeah, it seems like if you did that,
isn't this
like
terrible? I can't I'm like, oh, but they should be doing the wine in bed because they what if they
because they're gonna like poop
they
themselves
die at the
and
table.
convulse and like it's not that clean of a death, to be honest. So you want to fall asleep and not wake up, so you need to take like a specific, like he's all leaving it up to chance too. He's like, how much was in that? He's like, motherfucker, all of it. It better be like, because like you don't half step it. Don't try to kill yourself with Tylenol. You know what I mean? Like
you
you're
don't
gonna
want
be
to overdose on Tylenol. That's
no, that's what
that
Ken Griffey Jr.'s dad did. Like you'll have kidney failure.
Yeah,
and, like,
kidney
have
failure.
Extreme pain. Like there's ways it doesn't go. This isn't like a sweet slumber. Like you know what I mean?
Well, that's why I was worried. That's why I was worried that they had enough narcotics to kill the two of them. You know what I mean?
Also, kind of greedy.
Were you talking about the Watcher? Was it that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, the Watcher. Yes, the Watcher.
Yeah. Okay.
I love that. And Jennifer
Immediately,
Coolidge
my mind went to Wednesday, but then I was like, no, there was something else. I know.
Yes, the Watcher. Exactly. There's a dumbwaiter in the Watcher, and there's it's just the weirdest show. And then there's this guy who is a neighbor, and he just likes to come over and breaks into the house and goes into
and then they just see that he's there, and you're like, what the hell?
He loves to go into the dumbwaiter, and so they open up the dumbwaiter, and the guy is always in there, and it reminded me of years ago. I worked in this theater in this small town, and there were these two guys, and they were like twins, and they were, I don't know what you would call them. They might have had autism. They might have been, they were slow. And one day I came backstage, I had a key to the backstage, and I opened up the backstage, and one of them was sitting in the backstage, just sitting there. And I'm like, oh, like, he's probably in his 50s, right?
Yeah.
And I said, oh, excuse me, what are you doing here? Oh, nothing. I'm just hanging out. And I'm like, well, you can't be here. This is private property, right? You have to get out of here. And then I thought, oh my God, like, I'm near the door, but what if he attacks me or something? Because he was probably, I don't know, like over 200 pounds. So it kind of reminded me of the guy in the dumbwaiter in The Watcher. Do you remember? Oh, actually, that actor is pretty famous. And he's wearing overalls. He's wearing coveralls kind of thing. Farhan, what did you think of that show? It got really bad reviews.
I think I didn't watch the last episode because I was like, okay, I mean, I don't really care what happens next.
Oh, so I put that up.
Well, Luna, we were just saying that if they were wearing a pull-up because
it's
I
not
don't
as
know.
it's okay. I'm just bringing it up because
It's just
if
'cause
we're
then
gonna
they would just-
nitpick, it's not gonna be as smooth as they play it out. And I understand why they didn't, but like it is going to be a mess. Like not it's not
Yeah.
like like they're very
You-
like composed until the end. Like they would have been drooling, like passing out, nodding out. Like it would have been a mess. So like, and again, I think it might be important to put for just like anybody that might be watching. That's not a good idea. You know
I'm
what I
just,
mean?
I mean, that's why they opened the window.
Yeah, it matters because they would have pooped when they weren't dead.
Well,
Imagine
it's
someone
just-
coming
it's-
to the.
It's just
you don't
kinda
don't
like-
just fall asleep and fall asleep. It's a mess. Yeah. But yeah.
Imagine someone
Anyway,
coming by
this,
the house
this is
20
just
years from
typical
now,
of
or from
Justin and
then.
I. We always think of these things. We're
No,
like,
well, because
they're-
I
what
want
they're
to
sitting at
say
the
how
dining room
real it
table.
is. I want to think how real it is, and like I want to say,
Yeah,
okay, so then
me
I
too.
get into it, and I'm like, well, though, like to be fair, like it would have been a mess, and it could have been painful, and they better have taken enough drugs. You know
Well,
what I
yeah,
mean?
and exactly. So, and then like, and then if Frank had to, or sorry, if Bill had to carry Frank up the stairs,
Yeah.
imagine doing that after
on-
guzzling
like
a
80
glass full of
milligrams,
narcotics.
800 milligrams, possibly of
Yeah.
Oxycontin.
So it would have
Yeah.
just made sense to me. I'm just thinking about how I would do it because I have this, this potential murder suicide that I'm going to do if there's a pandemic, like an apocalypse. So I would have just been like, okay, everyone, get in your bed. Let's do it
Yeah.
now, and then you can pass out.
And
That's sort of how I
yeah,
would have did it.
And I've been a recovering addict for like now almost 7 years. Like I haven't done any codeine, so like I've done a lot of it, and I know what it does. And I wasn't ever carrying somebody upstairs. Is my point? You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
I can't
yeah.
even. I can't even imagine doing
No,
that.
it makes the opposite effect. You don't get like, oh, I'm gonna go carry somebody up the stairs. Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it would be fearful.
That's true. Yeah, that's the other thing. What if the drugs were like, like old?
Oh, yeah, and that does, delayed
Yeah.
effects, stuff like
Then
that.
they'd have to do like what they did in Midsommar and bring out the giant hammer.
I'll tell you what, there's nothing better than a gun. I don't know. It is what it is.
Yeah.
It's scary.
So, do we? We're talking about such dark materials here. We're talking.
Well,
about such...
but it's also beautiful
But
because
not
they
his
lived the
dark
life they wanted to
materials.
live. Yeah, and it is what it is. And I think it is a great story. And I think that like he didn't have anywhere else to go. Like he gave him a reason to live. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And now we're moving on. Now we're seeing Joel carrying on. And now that's the second person that Joel has been told by within our story, meaning the story we're watching on TV, to protect. Now I know they're saying protect Tess, but notice Tess says protect, and then he gets told to protect Tess. So, like and how did he start? By having his daughter die. So, this is very potent stuff here. Like this is a guy that's going to be driven by certain specific life events and motivations, meaning protect people in which he's in the authority to protect. He couldn't protect Tess. He couldn't protect his daughter. He can protect Ellie. And it's going to get
Well,
difficult.
and the thing with his daughter was so short. Like it just
You're-
happened almost like in a blinking of an eye.
Yeah.
Like,
You are towing the line quite well, I'd say.
I know. I'm trying. You get where I'm going, Farhan.
Yeah, I know it.
I'm sorry.
I know
Yeah. I'll just cut it there. But guys. I'm trying to drive home a point here
Yeah,
that he
yeah.
needs to protect somebody, and like the stakes in which they're stacking.
I got it.
Might not make sense if you don't know that, but I don't want to ruin it. Like I'm just
Yeah,
saying, like
yeah.
it's going towards a path of somebody that you need to understand their motivations.
I'm
Yeah.
still, Luna. I think I have to put this on a T-shirt. I might have to put that on a T-shirt. Who cared if they pooped? They're dead.
That seems like
know?
and see that when you walk into a hospital.
I'll have
Yeah.
some earrings. Put that on earrings. Yeah, exactly. In a hospital. Well, it's
Yeah.
funny because
He's gonna be fine. I'm like,
there were so many times. I remember years ago, I used to work with this girl, and she was a nurse, and she was saying basically every baby is born in poop.
Oh,
So
yeah.
there's a lot of poop in our lives. So you come into this world in poop, and you leave this world in poop.
Yeah,
So
what
it's
is the
just-
original saying? Pain, and you leave in pain, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's poop is just part of our lives, and so that's part of the reason why. Besides the window needs to be cracked open, because not just the smell of the dead bodies, but also because they crap their pants.
Yeah.
So do we want to talk about anything else before we go?
No, I just would like to bring up really quick the Fireflies. I'd be interested to see.
Oh,
them,
yeah. I don't
show
know
a little
anything
bit
about
more.
that. I don't understand it.
That's the problem. I think that, and there's not a big problem, but I think that that should be the goal for the next few episodes, or the next episode or so, to really establish them. Farhan, any thoughts on that?
I
there's
don't.
not
I don't know
much
anything
to-
about the Fireflies.
Well, like
or
I don't
what to call
know
that,
what
or-
else to say about it without spoiling things.
But do
Okay.
you agree that they could be like, we've only seen the one like person like, oh Lord of the like we've heard them talked about, now it's time to see them, like now it's time for that part of the story,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think they will. I don't think they're doing anything wrong. I just think that's what we got coming up, and I'm very
Are
excited.
they like they kind of sort of show them as sort of being like a terrorist group, or is it just that they're anti? Like, I mean, because
No, that's how the British looked at the colonies. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So like we're dealing with a bit of a the fascist, military. I think it's like a military state, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's
A military state, and then
Mm.
so these people are in opposition to the military state. They want to overthrow the military state. Is that what I'm? Is that the correct?
they
like,
got
correct
just they got guns. The military got guns, and they both got
Mhm.
ideas. So like yeah, like we went to a
Yeah,
more
they're-
tribalistic time.
Well, I mean, from what I can tell, the current reigning regime is very, it's a dictatorship. I mean, they're like hanging people, they're executing people. That people have very limited movement or freedom. So,
Yeah, because they killed all those people like we saw. So that type of rule
yeah,
works in the meantime, because I think there's a cure like we talked about earlier. And just to touch back on that, but then if things don't get better, that type of rule gets scrutinized after a while, right? Because they killed all these people, they keep hanging all these people. Their only means of action, again, if you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So you get things like the fireflies.
yeah.
You
So
get
like the little
subverts,
boy,
yeah.
the little boy comes in, for instance, in that one scene, and I guess they have Jack actually was saying, where did they get that that monitor? Like, where did Frank get that monitor from? The temperature, like where they can read whether the person's infected or not.
Oh yeah.
Bill? Yeah. I mean, he was stocking up on things, wasn't he, at the beginning of the episode?
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's something that you just have in a hospital, right?
Yeah,
That would be
yeah.
something you would have in a hospital to detect someone's.
They
'cause he
would have
says it
had
works
it,
really
yeah.
quick,
Yeah.
so they can tell if the person's infected by their temperature.
Well, yeah, I don't understand. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I think no, what I think it is, it's just like a mold finder, essentially, right? Doesn't that make sense?
Well, how would Frank have gotten that though?
Well, because he went and raided after it's been enough time that he's went around that I'm sure a hospital, like you said, had it or
Frank? You mean Bill?
Bill, sorry.
Bill had it, right?
yeah, but yeah, it's reasonable. Okay, like when
Yeah.
did he get it? We did not see. Is it okay? Is it plausible? I think it is, right? That he
So
got
when
it.
the little boy comes in and then the nice lady says, "Oh, we're gonna get you some toys and everything," they
Mhm.
know that he's infected.
Yeah, because that's what you say. It's like, hey, we're so like, you know what I mean? Like you don't try to. I mean, if you got to kill somebody, you do it with grace, I guess. I mean, you try to make them comfortable because you don't want to, for many reasons, for the humanity of it, if you can call it that, and then for the sake of just pragmatic reasons, right? To hold them down, to stop them from fighting.
Yeah.
You don't tell somebody I'm going to kill you. Doesn't usually work without resistance.
No,
It's sad.
I know that. I know that, but that was
Yeah.
just, that was
Yeah,
pretty
that's our-
that was
yeah.
pretty devastating because
Well,
it's
that's
like,
the way. Yeah, it's silent. Like they didn't. You want to make it so they didn't even know what happened. I guess you know what I mean. Like, what else would you do? I guess you know what I mean.
By the way, Heidi, if you haven't seen it, I think you should watch a cutscene from the game with Bill and where he meets Joel and Ellie, and you can see the interaction between Joel, him and Ellie.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
not a guy
really?
that knows how to pair wine. Yeah, in the game.
Yeah.
in the game though, right?
Yeah, the game.
Yeah.
He's a crazy fuck. That was a good. That's why I think Nick Offerman was, because I could see him. I saw it either way. Like like he could have definitely played the opposite as well. Just wouldn't have been as potent. So yeah, I think it's a lot of sadness, a lot of comfort to do. You do things that are terrible in comfortable ways, and you try to do it as humanely as possible. So yeah, I think it would be like a mold finder, wouldn't it be? Am I out of my depth here? To like, because it's fungus.
I don't think they would have developed that, before.
Well, they've
the
got
pandemic.
it. They've got it though. Like like he's like it's out there.
I thought it was reading their temperature,
Yeah, I don't know if they run
like COVID. They put it on your forehead.
Yeah, every time I walked in somewhere, they put it on there, and they said, you're just lame. I'm like, I get it.
Okay, so we're gonna wrap things up because we've been on here over 2.5 hours.
Good show though. Watch it. Best show that I've seen in a year.
Do you want to? So how many more episodes are there?
I don't know if there's. I guess there's gonna be a season 2.
No, I
I
mean
think they
after
said.
3.
I
I
don't
think
remember
there's
how
7
many they
total.
said. I think something like that. Let me see.
And
Oh, there's 9.
but the
There's
other
9
thing I was
total.
going to say, the last episode was over an
So
hour. It
we
was like
still
an
have
hour
6 more
and
to go.
it was like an hour and 16 minutes. It was
Yeah.
really long.
It's because they put
Almost
in
like a
20 minutes.
movie.
It's
Yeah.
because they put in 20 minutes of Joel and Ellie to make it, you know what I mean?
Mhm. In universe kind of thing.
Yeah.
They test IRL for mold reactive antibodies. Says,
Yeah. See,
Red
mold. Yeah, I
Wolf.
knew it would be mold because, like,
Thanks.
it's yeah.
Well, that's not clear in the show though.
But isn't I don't know. I'm stupid. Isn't fungus like mold?
It
Isn't
is.
mold fungus? So yeah. So that's
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that thing is, it's not clear that that's what they're testing for.
Okay, but if I put a stud finder up and I put it at Farhan, we got a stud, right? Like it's the same
Oh, well, thank
deal,
you.
Heidi. Yeah, we got
Okay.
it.
So,
Yeah, it works.
anyway, so we're excited to see what's going to happen next.
I didn't say that, but yeah.
Oh, hey, 30 days. You're not?
No, I'm definitely excited. This is the one show I
Okay, you
didn't
don't
feel like
sound
I
very
didn't feel I
excited.
didn't feel ethically compromised or morally compromised to come on and say it was a good show like House of the Dragon. I wasn't like, yay. You know, this is fun. This is a good
I
show.
think this is a really great show. I'm really
Yeah.
enjoying it. And there's been a lot. I have watched a lot of really good shows lately, and a lot of them are on Apple. That's
Yes.
kind of my new favorite streaming platform.
For all of mankind, give it a watch.
I have a 3-month like subscription, like what do you call it, a freebie, so I'm kind of trying to
Yeah,
binge
then you'll
watch a bunch of
forget.
stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then
thanks
it
so
shows
much,
you.
Scale.
Yeah.
Thanks for everyone who's come on tonight. Farhan, do you have any last thoughts you want to share with our audience about what you thought of the show and all that?
No, I mean, I just I so far enjoyed what we've seen, and I'm looking forward to see what else they have to offer and how it's going to compare to the game.
Farhan, I was going to say I really like your glasses. I don't know if those are new.
Well, thank you. Well, no, I got them midway through 2021. So
Yeah,
no.
they're very, very
Yeah,
styling.
thank you.
Yeah. Justin, what about you? Like, do you have any what did I just do there? Oh, okay. Do you have any sort of last thoughts on the show and everything? And
No, just important to when you guys are, you know, because we all definitely go I wouldn't say overboard, but we definitely do a lot of thinking about like how A Song of Ice and Fire was adapted, and I think this is a time of a large amount of adaptation. So this is a adaptation from a video game, and I think respect the medium for what the medium is and understand. I think that you could find more joy. Like I always say, content is a sponge. Get as much joy out of it as possible in understanding the way in which storytelling works in a video game opposed to a book. And I'm pretty sure these were a graphic novel. Am I wrong here, Farhan? Before even the game?
No, they were a game first.
Okay, I was wrong there. Okay, and that's not. It won't be the last time, or it wasn't the first time. Won't be the last time. But you know, like the mediums, mediums in which are
I think there is a graphic novel that's tied to it, but yeah,
probably now, but it's a good example of a video game that's being adapted, and it's interesting to look at these examples that have, you know, like Mortal Kombat, Assassin's Creed, such like that. So yeah, it's fascinating, and I think it's you know, Heidi hasn't played any of the games, and she's enjoying it. It seems like it's a hit.
I've never played a video game. Oh, I might have played Miss Pac-Man once.
Well, we'll wait for the Miss Pac. There probably is a Miss Pac-Man film.
And then you have me, who just has like everything.
Yeah, I've never. So any adaptation. I mean, The Witcher. I mean, to be fair to The Witcher, it's based off of the books, not off the video game.
Yeah,
in fact, they don't have the rights to the video game, so they can't even like use anything from that. So that's why that one's a little bit of a weirdo, like for gamers. No,
Look,
no, Red Wolf.
You can still use a sponge, Justin. Get in fun.
I have never played a video game. Like, I know it's sort of weird. No, and I have terrible. I'm really bad at it. Like, I used to have a boyfriend who used to play everything, and I just sit there and watch him for hours.
Maybe it's time to start. I mean,
Doom or something. He played.
In my opinion, it is probably my favorite medium, just because it's got everything, and it's unfortunate that it's not taken as seriously or as seen as a form of art.
I think it is. I think it is more so now. I think it's getting to the point where it is getting acknowledged, and yes, he was in it. He was in it. He was great. 30 Days. If you haven't seen it, he's in the 3rd episode, and Nick offered. It's funny because the other thing that it kind of reminds me of. Have you guys seen Sweet Tooth? It kind of has a feeling of Sweet Tooth as well, which is another dystopian virus, Armageddon.
Well,
in the
I
case,
sure hope what comes and kill us will be a lot of fun, and then we get a good one.
I'm a Armageddon style dystopias are probably my favorite. Like I kind of love them. They're
Well,
sort
I
of,
just want some oil drillers to learn how to be astronauts, because astronauts definitely can't learn to be oil drillers. That makes more sense for them to learn to be astronauts and then go drill a hole and take care of it like an everyman and salt of the earth type of fella. Armageddon's the best story ever told. Thank you. But yeah, no, it's
Bruce Willis is in it.
Oh yeah, he is. He's a salt of the
Ben-
world. He's my guys. Nobody's better
and,
than my
and
guys.
Liv
I'm like, what do you
Tyler's
mean?
in it. She
Yeah.
plays his daughter.
Yeah.
I've still got the original.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
Amazing. Okay, well, guys, I'm gonna sign off because I have to work tomorrow. But I thank you so much for everybody who's come in, and it's been such a blast having Justin and Farhan here. Really, I always enjoy you guys. It's so fun. So,
Nice
so
comments.
someone was saying in the chat, apologies. Who was it here? Who said natural selection says there's 10 eppies. So
There's
maybe
9. There's 9.
Hmm?
There's 9.
Oh, there's none. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe we can do is meet up again, maybe toward the end of the season and do a little,
Sure.
final season roundup or something. What do you guys think about that? I'm starting to slur.
Yeah, for sure. I think it'll be fulfilling to talk about. Yeah, because I think this definitely has to end in a big way. So yeah, it should be.
Yeah, fun. and then there's been talk that maybe it's a 3-season type of thing.
I don't like that talk, but we'll let it go. Yeah.
Okay, and Pedro Pascal. I mean, he's got sort of dueling shows because
he has to go to a voice booth like once a week and do the Mandalorian.
He's sometimes in it.
That's mostly
he has to take his helmet off once in a while.
That's mostly John Wayne's grandson, by the way. That John Wayne's grandson's the main stunt actor for him.
I heard that. Yes, That's very cool.
Yeah, so hopefully you don't give him cancer in a Fallout Zone. But anyways, yeah, Mandalorian's a lot of fun, and we'll get it all done.
Adios. We'll have to chat, Red Wolf. I'm gonna email you at some point. We're gonna chat soon.
Goodbye.
So thanks everybody. I really appreciate you coming, and it's always so much fun. And we're gonna do more live streams coming up. I'm working on a video with Justin. Well, he doesn't know this yet. No, he does know it, on the White Lotus. So it's my first kind of contemporary show that I'm doing. It's just kind of a little bit different. It's funny because I was talking to my colleague today, and she's like, "Oh, I wasn't really into that show. I usually kind of lighter comedy." So it kind of feels a little bit like, if anybody's watching Knives Out, it's kind of in the vein of a Knives Out. There's a murder mystery they've done 2 series so far. So there's a murder mystery, but it's very twisted and kind of campy in some way. I don't know. But anyway, so I love the costumes. So I'm going to be doing a big video on that. And hopefully if you guys want to check that out. And also, one more thing I was going to say before we go. Justin did this really fun video on all of Daenerys Targaryen's costumes. And I had one person said they loved it until the last costume. They were really angry.
Yeah, I thought about that. Yeah, but she goes in order. They're in order.
It goes in order.
Yeah, and I put a picture
so Justin,
after.
You don't know this, but I was looking at the analytics. So basically, it drops off at 70%.
I was gonna put that. I was gonna talk to you about it. I was gonna say. We've had this discussion about Miss Maisel before about going in order, and I was like, I get why we're doing it, and I thought to say it here. I was like, I bet people, I knew it.
Funny.
I knew people were gonna be pissed.
So
like,
people are still really pissed about.
I made a graphic. I made 3 graphics for after it, so it would settle on them.
Yeah. So anyway, that kind of cracked me up. The people are still so.
Talk
pissed
to Dan and Dave. Talk to George. Talk to them, because that was all their idea, not ours.
Anyway, don't hold it against Michelle Clapton. She did her work. She did a good job. She did her best. And anyway, so I thought that was really, really funny. So that's what I just wanted to say about that. So
even her eyes in that last picture, sorry,
she looked like a mad woman.
Yeah, I wanted to put want. Yeah, but yeah, no, it's so upbeat and poppy.
But anyway,
yeah,
what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do, right?
They can't fuck with reality.
So so people are still holding on to that, but that's okay. It's only been 5 years or something.
Feel your feelings, we accept them.
Feel your feelings, we accept them. Okay, so anyway, thanks Farhan, thanks Justin, thanks everyone. We'll chat to you guys soon. We'll be doing a live stream in a little while. Okay, take care, y'all. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.